go live, they gon' sign. That's the signing that we live. We live. TDA, you know we live.
It's National Signing Day. Signing Day TDA.
You know we live.
National Signing Day. Signing Day TDA.
About it, Crimson Tide Nation, we are live on a Wednesday, the Christmas time for you, the Bama fans, the National Signing Day show right here in studios in the Birmingham area. Touchdown Alabama Magazine. I'm yours truly, Stephen Smith, but it's not about me. This is about the man, the myth, the legend sitting right across from me. This guy works his tail off all year, giving you all the information on Alabama football recruiting. The director of scouting and recruiting for TDA, our own Justin Smith. Justin, we're doing this again for the fourth time. This is crazy. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, Stephen. Of course, like I said, it is the fourth year, and we have definitely come a long way with our recruiting coverage, and we are definitely going to provide a great show with a lot of in-depth coverage, exclusive interviews. Of course, we're going to go in live with a lot of live signing day signings with the Crimson Tide, trying to pull off a couple of flips late here in this 2024 recruiting class. And what is signing day without a little bit of drama, of course? And when you look at the Crimson Tide's 2024 recruiting class, this class is interesting. Like every other class has been interesting for a lot of different reasons, a lot of different strengths of this recruiting class. Of course, the Crimson Tide are trying to finish strong with some flip targets possibly on the horizon. When you look at guys like Edric Houston, a five-star defensive lineman out of Buford High School in Indy, Georgia area. I remember seeing him play during the last football season when Thompson High School traveled to Buford, and Edric Houston's play rivaled the then five-star recruit Peter Woods. They went
That was a good game. That was a good game.
Yeah, for sure. They went back and forth in terms of how dominant both of those guys were on the defensive side of the football. So I think Houston brings a lot to the table, and he would be a huge flip for the Crimson Tide, as he is verbally committed to Ohio State, as we will continue to talk about Houston as the show goes on. Of course, the Crimson Tide has other flip targets. When you take a look at guys like Arian Hampton, a four-star wide receiver who's committed to Texas, Kevin Riley, a four-star running back who's committed to Miami. Like I said, he is a product of the Northport area, by the way, of Tuscaloosa County High School. So we will go in live with Kevin Riley. So there's a lot that's going to happen on today's show. Like I said, we do want to give you guys the best recruiting content and the best recruiting updates, and we're going to start that off by talking about the guys who have already signed and are already on their way to Tuscaloosa. And one of those guys who's already in Tuscaloosa is Julian Sand, the five-star quarterback out of Carlsbad High School in California. Stephen, of course, you were able to check out Jalen Muro's recent press conference, and he was talking about Julian Sand already impressing them.
I mean, loving Sand already. Jalen Muro talked about this yesterday during player interviews. He said this guy spins the ball really well, really good guy in the locker room, really good kid, practices hard, just very appreciative of what Julian Sand is doing already. You mentioned Justin at 6'1", 195 pounds out of Carlsbad High School in California. It just seems like Nick Saban is really starting to hit on these California quarterbacks. It starts off with Bryce Young, of course, from Pasadena, by the way, of modern-day high school. Now you pick up a Julian Sand, of whom people kind of think, could he be the next version of a Bryce Young? So this young man spins the ball well, a great addition to the locker room, held on to that commitment, held on to the trust factor there with Tommy Rees. He is on campus right now, preparing the Crimson Tide for the upcoming Rose Bowl against Michigan. There's a lot to like here when you look at Sand's size, his anticipation, the spirit of the football, and how he's able to kind of comprehend and understand the moment.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the thing that's been most impressive about Sand to me is his consistency. This is a guy who has consistently shown up at every stop, whether that is at a camp, at the quarterback retreat, whether that is during the season. This is a guy who had a magical senior season, was just highly effective in terms of the way that he can put the ball right where it needs to be. His accuracy and the way that he can do that consistently is what separates him. And I think that's the biggest thing that separates quarterbacks who are effective at just just being consistently accurate are going to be great quarterbacks. In my opinion, that is what separates you. Of course, when you see a guy and you see Alabama, of course, Nick Saban talks about consistency a lot. But when you look at a guy at the quarterback position, a lot of times the guys who struggle are the guys who cannot be consistently accurate. They might throw a pass here, that's good, but they didn't throw a pass like, yo, where are you throwing the ball to the next couple of plays? But Julian Sand has been a guy, like I said, no matter what type of throw it is, he's able to make it, and he does it come consistently. And I think that's going to be something that he's going to really benefit from as he continues his career at Alabama, with them already being in Tuscaloosa for Rose Bowl prep, which is huge in my opinion, because he gets an opportunity to look into Alabama's quarterback room during a time where they are trying to win a national championship. So you know everything and expectations are high like they always are at Alabama. And this is a guy who has been loyal to the Crimson Tide since giving them their verbal commitment. His commitment really has never wavered. He visited other schools like Ohio State was giving him some attention. At one point, Miami was giving him some attention. Of course, remember that viral moment when he visited Miami?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and basically the guy was trying to recruit him, was trying to sell just the vision of Miami and comparing it to Tuscaloosa. So other schools definitely still recruiting Sand, and he just stayed committed no matter what happened. When Alabama's former offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien moved on, Sand's commitment never wavered. When Tommy Rees came in, Rees was the guy he had a previous relationship with at Notre Dame, so I'm pretty sure that carried over to Tuscaloosa, and that was huge in Alabama keeping Sand on board. So I think this is huge for Alabama to get him signed, and it's also kind of impressive because Alabama signed 2 quarterbacks last season. And when you look at Alabama's quarterback room, of course, they are going to lose Tyler Buckner is moving on, but when you look at Alabama's quarterback room, it's loaded for years to come because you got Sand, you got Sand, now you got Miro, you also have Simpson, and you have those 2 guys who signed last year, and Lonergan and
Inak Holston and Lonergan, yes.
So that's like the biggest thing that I think that's really impressive about Sand. It also shows he's not afraid of competition. I think he's confident in his ability, and I think that's all of those things are what makes Julian Sand really great and has great potential at the quarterback position.
So Justin, my last thoughts here on Sand before we get into the next player to break down here. I'm impressed by just not only his anticipation, but how he's able to keep his eyes downfield in extending plays. A lot of quarterbacks, when the rush comes, they take their eyes off downfield, they look at the rush, and then they panic. With Julian, he keeps his eyes confidently downfield, using his speed to evade pressure, evade the rush, and still find the target. That's a big thing that Coach Saban harps on, is even when you're staring down the bullet of pressure or the barrel of pressure, can you keep your eyes focused on what you're seeing, what you're looking at, extend the play and deliver the football? And with the competition that Sand's coming into, my question will be, how impressive will he be early? We're talking spring ball, to maybe even force some of that competition out the door. Because you know that's what a lot of the fans are going to talk about. How impressive can Julian Sand be early in the ball game to possibly force some guys to maybe look elsewhere?
Yeah, I think that's just the nature of college football with the transfer portal and everything. I think, like I said, I think Sand game is pretty complete as a quarterback prospect, with him being a consistent 5-star recruit at the moment. The only question mark that I still have about his game, although he has shown flashes of being able to do that, is what he can do with his feet in terms of picking up yards, because that is so huge in today's game. When you just take a look at college football, you take a look at the NFL, every quarterback in the NFL almost now can pick up 10 yards easily, and that's something that I saw Sand he has shown flashes. He did show flashes of that during his senior season, but I wonder how good he will be outside of the pocket when he's called on to run the football, because I think that's just part of the game now, just based on how athletic and explosive edge rushers who are coming out of high school. Now I'm going to talk about some of those guys. Now you're going to have to be an athletic quarterback who can get away from those guys and make plays with your feet at times. And I just think that is the development and just the evolvement of the game of college football and just football in general at the quarterback position. But we're going to continue, of course, to move on and talk about other guys who have already signed with the Crimson Tide, who are going to try to help Sand reach greatness in the future. When you take a look at the offensive line, the Crimson Tide have already signed Casey Poe, a 4-star offensive lineman out of Lindale High School in Texas. I think this is another good get for the Crimson Tide. Many consider him to be the #1 interior offensive lineman in this 2024 2024 recruiting class, and this is a guy who likes to be physical. He likes to be nasty. He's trying to put a guy on his back on every snap, and that's something that you immediately like to see when you're going after an offensive lineman. How physical and how nasty can this guy be?
And you look at this, Justin. You get a Jaden Roberts. Remember, Jaden Roberts came in that 2021 class from Houston, Texas, and you finally insert him into the starting lineup, and you're seeing that type of mashing, mauling, intensity mentality, putting guys on the butt, putting guys on the ground, pancaking guys. You're seeing this from Jaden Roberts. Casey Poe, the 4-star, brings a lot of that same mentality. When I get my hands on you, I'm getting into your pant level. I am driving you into the ground, and I'm leaving just soil in the way as I'm driving you into the ground. So Casey Poe brings a lot of that hardcore physicality, that nastiness from the interior offensive line. And Alabama fans have been waiting on, when are we going to get back to having that physicality from the guard play, the physicality from the center play? And so that they saw that this year with Terrence Ferguson in the lineup, Jaden Roberts in the lineup. We're seeing growth from the tackling aspect when you look at guys like Caden Proctor, who came in the freshman class this past class. But adding a Casey Poe in this class gets you back to that physicality from the interior nasty of that offensive line.
Yeah, when you look at a guy like Poe, like I said, he moves really good, keeps his feet moving when he's engaging in blocks, and he's a versatile offensive lineman as well. Like on this play here, you see him lined up at left tackle, but you have also seen him play guard. You see him performing a different variety of blocking techniques as he has performed combo blocks.
Took that guy out.
You see him get up to the second level. You see him work in pass protection as well, and this is a guy who has credited Lindale High School with a lot of what he's able to do. He says that working at Lindale High School and working under the coaches that he's been able to learn under, he said they teach him at a higher level than a typical high school football player, specifically on the offensive line. And you see that in his game, the way that he's able to seal blocks, create open lanes for running backs. He feels like he's still growing in terms of his pass protection, but I think he's a guy with a high ceiling for the Crimson Tide. The way he moves, the way he gets after the block, the way he's always looking for somebody else to block. I think he knocked one guy on the ground. Who else getting this next? See, you got it this time, you get it next time. This type of guy that you're getting in Casey Poe, already signed with the Crimson Tide. He's on campus going through bowl prep with the Crimson Tide. This is a guy who decided to opt out of playing any type of All-American game. Some guys who have already signed, who have already enrolled at Alabama and participated in bowl prep, some of those guys are going to play in All-America games. They're going to take a break from bowl prep and go to those games. Casey Poe is not. He's a guy who said, I'm not going to risk getting the opportunity to play early or contribute early. I want my body to be as fresh as possible because I want to try to contribute as soon as possible on the field and learn from a guy like Eric Wolford, who was huge in his recruitment.
Now, of course, guys like Tyler Booker, among others, are going to help Casey Poe with the pass blocking technique there. Eric Wolford, as an offensive line coach, will do that as well. But you can already kind of see, Justin, he does have some form of pass blocking in his game. He's got the quick feet. He can establish a base. The one thing for Case is going to be, if he's knocked off his base, quickly reestablish that. And we saw that with Caden Proctor this season as a freshman. Caden would start off with a strong base. He would get knocked off by a blitzing defensive end or edge rushing linebacker. But in the latter part of the season, we saw even Proctor get better. And okay, I got my base. If you knock me off, I can get myself back anchored, still keep you away from the quarterback, neutralizing your speed and trying to convert your speed to power, but neutralizing that, keeping my quarterback safe and off of the ground. So I think as Poe gets in here and works with the Tyler Booker, works with and Eric Wolford, he'll get even more acclimated to the pass protection protocol.
Yes, for sure. Like I said, I think all these guys are going to continue to grow in development. That's grow and develop. It's like the biggest thing. We take a look at all of these guys who are signed. Of course, we're going to talk about their strengths. We're also going to talk about some of the things that they will have to improve on and just develop and get better, because this is part of the game when you come into college football. Some of these guys are going to be special, like a Caleb Downs, who can come in and just play immediately. But there are going to be most of them who it's going to take time. Everybody is not Caleb Downs rolling out of the bed and being able to be a college football player. It's going to take time for some of these guys to develop and get better.
I mean, when you think about Justin, can you believe this? Like, we were talking about Downs last year in that amazing 2023 class. And this young man, one tackle away, right, from being the first true freshman in the Saban era to 100 tackles, and the first safety in the Nick Saban era at Alabama to 100 tackles. That kid's just special.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest thing about Caleb Downs, just talk about him for a little bit. In terms of his tackling ability, that's the thing that really stood out to me when I watched him play. When I watched him play at Mill Creek High School, when I went to Georgia, when I went to Mercedes-Benz Stadium actually to watch him play his first game of his high school senior season, I was surprised at how many tackles he was involved in. Like, he was involved in every play, and that's one of the reasons why he's leading Alabama in tackles at the moment. But we're going to continue to talk about guys who are signing with the Crimson Tide. Stay on the offensive line, as we have a new guy who just signed, and Will Sanders, a guy who wanted to talk about. Sanders is a four-star offensive lineman, in-state prospect, Brookwood High School in Brookwood, Alabama. This guy is impressive for so many different reasons. When you look at him, the thing that's really stood out to me the first time I saw him, when I actually watched him, I traveled to Birmingham and I had an opportunity to see him participate, not in a game, but like participate in training with Terrence Swift out of winning edge training in Birmingham, Alabama. And the first thing that really stood out was his frame. This guy carries no body fat. Like, he's lean.
None?
Like
none?
very low body fat in terms of it, especially the gut. Because that's like a lot of times when you see these offensive linemen, they have those big guts. You're like, yo, he carries some bad weight. The biggest thing, this guy carries no bad weight. Not no body fat, really no bad weight. And this thing is really impressive, because sometimes that is what Alabama has to do when a guy comes in a little bit overweight. Yo, you got to get in the weight room and you have to change your body frame a little bit before you're able to get on the field. That is not the case with a guy like Will Sanders. And watch his film, when he's pulling and blocking, get out of the way, because he's coming to destroy you every time he's pulling and blocking. This is an impressive guard, a good get for the Crimson Tide, specifically with him coming from his state.
I'm gonna say this, Justin. When I watch Will Sanders, and I'm not trying to put a huge comparison on him right now. When I watch him play, I see a little Landon Dickerson, just a little bit, in terms of the toughness, in terms of the meanness. Like you mentioned, his pulling, his zone gap, man block scheme there, him putting guys on their tails, him coming around, kick out blocking, the way he does that with the intentions of, I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to destroy you out here on this field, coming from Brookwood High School right here in Alabama. The in-state kids mean so much to this program. This young man right here, I see a little bit of Dixon, this kid, but I also see a little bit of Chance Warmack in there too.
Yeah, this guy, like I said, the thing that when you watch his film, like I think he's pulling on almost every play, and of course he's similar to a lot of guys. And Casey Poe talked about it. They want to continue to grow in pass protection. That's going to be something that Will talks about a lot. Whenever you talk with him, he always says, "Hey, I know I need to show a little bit more of that." But the way that he's able to pull block, and when I actually saw his film when Coach Swift sent it to me, he actually did not have an Alabama offer at the time, and he told me like, "Yo, this guy is going to be really good." I think he had no SEC offer at the time when Coach Swift brought him up to me, and he eventually got an Alabama offer. He got an offer from LSU, and he got an offer from Mississippi State just by camping there and by impressing them at camp. And he got offers from all of those schools, and they were listed in his top three before he eventually chose the Crimson Tide. And he's another guy who's going through bowl prep with the Crimson Tide. So that's just a trend that we are continuing to see, guys opting to not go to any All-American games, although he did participate in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game this weekend. But this past weekend, he's a guy who is wanting to get to Tuscaloosa as soon as possible, get an opportunity to enjoy that bowl prep, get an opportunity to get a head start on just even guys who are going to be traditional early enrollees who are going to come in January. These guys are already getting there and getting an opportunity to go through practice.
I think the best thing about this, Justin, and seeing these guys choosing not to go to these All-America games, these big events here prior to getting on campus, is they want to get quickly acclimated to fostering those relationships, because that's important. They want to foster those relationships with their future teammates. They want to foster those relationships with coaches on the staff, but they also want to foster those relationships with the nutrition staff, the training staff. Getting with Miss Amy Bragg. Miss Bragg, what do I need to eat? What do I need to cut out of my diet? They want to get with Coach David Ballou. What do I need to work on strength-wise, speed-wise? I want to get with Coach, Paul Constantine and the rest of the strength staff. What do I need to do physicality-wise to put myself in the best situation so by spring ball, I'm strong, going through the drills and the practices. By summer workouts, by fall camp, I know what I need to do and I know where I need to be. So while it's cool to participate in these Under Armour games, these All-America Bowl type of things, these young men are about, I want to quickly get on this campus, foster these relationships, and put myself in the best spot to either start right away or be a show enough contributor.
Yeah, for sure. And I think all of those factors that you said play a role in these guys' decision to do that. And I think that it is just trending in a direction. Of course, it's like out of the world. I know we talked about this before the show started, that it was going to be hard and it's going to be very difficult to keep a healthy team once the college football playoff expanded and you wanted to make a deep run. So a lot of these freshmen and younger guys are going to have to be leaned on for depth, or whether it is earlier in the season or late in the season. And I think just having those guys who are signing and going through bowl prep with them, it wouldn't surprise me in a couple years. Just college football just seems to be changing at a very rapid pace.
Very evolving sport.
Yeah. If we one day, 5 years from now, if we see a guy who signed and he is there and our team needs depth, I think it's a chance that we could see these guys playing in a possible playoff after their high school football season. Of course, that's against the rules right now, just with the evolvement of college football. I think that's something just to keep in consideration and think about as the game just like continues to evolve, like you said, Steven.
I mean, it's crazy just thinking about going from a 4-team playoff to a 12-team playoff, and you're going to have something that goes to a 16-team playoff. But what's going to be the most intriguing thing here, Justin, is when you look at this, how do you close the gap where the recruiting calendar is concerned? Because you have conference championship games, then you got the recruiting dead period, then you got signing day, when the transfer portal opens, you got bowl prep, and then the transfer portal closes. Like, how are you going to fix that recruiting calendar? Because there's so much jam-packed in there at one time.
Yes, for sure. And I think that's something that is going to be a challenge for the NCAA and just everybody who's involved in scheduling those things from a perspective of trying to make sure everything gets its needed time with the portal evolving and everything like that. But we are going to continue to talk about the Crimson Tide's 2024 class, of course, staying with the offensive line with Joseph Ayata signing with the Crimson Tide as well. Another significant get for the Crimson Tide, and Ayata is a product of Clearwater, Florida, at about 6'4", 295 pounds. And when you watch his film, as you're going to see, the first couple plays are going to be against Keon Keeley. He got a lot of highlights to get against Keeley, and I think that's something that Joe should show, that he was a guy who went up against some decent competition during his high school career. I think this, if I'm not mistaken, it was definitely junior season when he went up against Keeley. And when you look at what Ayata brings to the table, he's another versatile offensive lineman, a guy who can be a tackle, a guy who can be a guard. It looks as if the Crimson Tide prioritize more interior offensive linemen after getting mostly tackles during that last recruiting class with that huge offensive line class. We can take a look at guys like Proctor. We can take a look at guys in that class like Olas and Miles McVeigh. A lot of those guys
Will Conformby.
A lot of those guys were more tackle prospects. It looked as if the Crimson Tide wanted to look at more guards during this particular recruiting class. And like I said, Ayata is a guy who could be an interior offensive lineman at the next level, although he did line up at left tackle during his senior season.
I'll say this, Justin, and I've had the joy of speaking with Joseph Ayata quite a few times here. This is a 3-star that works like he's a 5-star. And this is a young man that, in talking to me, he mentioned, nobody is going to outwork me. I'm going to be on this campus. He's already in love with what Eric Wolford wants to do with him. He's in love with the teammates that he's going to be surrounded by. But this kid is a hard worker. He will push to the limit and even past the limit to want to be on the field, want to be at his best. So depending on whether he ends up as a true tackle moving forward, if he settles in as an offensive guard, wherever Ayata settles in at, that young man is going to be something, because he has a work ethic out of this world.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the thing about Ayata that also talks about some of the members of this 2024 recruiting class and speaks to guys like Julian Sand. He's another guy who's like super loyal to the Crimson Tide during the recruiting process. Once he committed, basically did not want to entertain any other schools, visit any other schools. He wanted to just get to Tuscaloosa as soon as possible and begin his college football journey. And like a lot of these guys we're going to talk about when it comes to Alabama's 2024 recruiting class, it's another physical guy, a guy who likes to get to the second level, a guy who likes to keep putting guys on their back consistently after every play, and he's going to continue to be a guy who the Crimson Tide can mold and develop with him being a 3-star recruit coming out of Clearwater, Florida.
It's going to be fun watching what Ayata does here at the collegiate level where the University of Alabama is concerned. I mean, once again, and just in my talking with him, I'm excited for this young man. I'm excited to watch his development, to watch him grow, and to see where he truly ends up on this offensive line, whether it's as a tackle, whether it's as a guard, really pulling for Ayata here.
Yeah, and the Crimson Tide are not done recruiting offensive linemen in this 2024 recruiting class after getting signatures from the guys who they have verbally commitments from before today started. When you take a look at Will Sanders, Casey Poe, and Joseph Ayata, the Crimson Tide have other signees, of course, who have already locked in, and we might as well just stay on the offensive side of the football at the moment and talk about a guy who I am really high on, and Caleb Odum, a 4-star tight end out of Carrollton High School.
This is the freak show, Justin. This is the freak show.
I think the thing that's really stands out about Odum during his senior season to me the most was his blocking ability, because that is what is going to get him on the field faster at Alabama. Of course, we see what he can do when he's lined up at wide receiver, when he's flexed out and able to use his size and his athleticism to just look really good as basically a wide receiver for Carrollton High School. But the way that he was blocking down the field, and I've seen a lot of clips during his senior season seeing him do that, I was like, yo, that is what is going to get you on the field compared to what he's able to do as a guy who's basically more of a receiving tight end. If you can do both of those things, you can stay on the field and be used in a variety of ways. And when you take a look at guys on Alabama's roster, Amari Niblack, I think Niblack has taken a step forward in terms of being a blocker, but I feel like his time is still kind of limited in a way because he has to get taken off the field because you want to put bigger tight ends on the field or block. When you take a look at Alabama's roster, you have guys like C.J. Dupree and Robbie Oops are used in those situations.
Miles Kitselman also.
Yeah, if you're able to be more of that complete hybrid tight end, you're going to be able to play all 3 downs and just stay on the field as much as possible. It seems as if Caleb Odum is striving and working towards making that, but with him being flexed out at wide receiver, he looks like a wide receiver, a mismatch with his size at the moment. And this is a guy who I think he has the potential to contribute early for the Crimson Tide, but I know a lot of factors go into that, but he definitely has the potential in the athleticism.
I'll say this where Odum is concerned, Justin, is, and like you mentioned, if he can continue with the blocking scheme there and getting himself probably one of the more, probably to be an elite blocker, coming and working with Joe Cox, the tight ends coach, he could be in the same mold O.J. Howard, Irv Smith-like. Because remember, O.J. became a really good blocker. We knew what he was as a receiving option. Became a really good blocker. In the 2015 season and 2016 seasons, we saw O.J. really come out. Now, of course, a lot of that was Lane Kiffin choosing late to use O.J. Howard. But when Alabama started to utilize him, what he became, and also the same there with Irv Smith. So if we see Caleb Odum really become full-on an elite blocking tight end, which he has the potential to do so, he could be in that same mold of an O.J. Howard, Irv Smith.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the blocking is what's going to separate it. And of course, it's just part of the game. It's the game as we continue to talk about the game evolving and changing. The tight end position is one of those positions that have not changed. I mean, take a look at his last play. Do you see Caleb Downs trying to catch Caleb Odum? Downs' effort has never wavered. But when you look at Odum, like I said, at any tight end position, the tight end position is the position I feel no matter if it's college football or NFL, it is a position where the requirements haven't really changed. You still need to be a big physical guy, and right now the guys are more athletic, but when you look at the NFL, guys are still big, guys are still called on the block, guys are still able to make tough catches in traffic. When you take a look at the Travis Kelce's of the NFL world,
George Kittles.
Yeah, those guys are physical guys, and the best tight ends are like that. So that's the thing about Caleb Odum. As he continues to develop and he wants to be that type of tight end, that's just part of the game, just being able to be an efficient blocker. But as far as everything else is concerned, he's one of the better route running tight ends I've covered. Just looking at it, the way that he runs route, the ways he's able to make plays after the catch. Like I said, athletic. This is a good get for the Crimson Tide in all areas in terms of what Odum can bring to the table.
I mean, so Joe Cox gets another tool in that box. Joe Cox is another tool in that room, and Coach Cox, who did a phenomenal job with Cameron Latu, Joe Cox, who's been working with Amari Nyblack, Miles Kitselman, C.J. Dupree, Robbie Oots. So now he gets a Caleb Odum to get his hands on, to mold, to develop, to work with. If you're Joe Cox right now, you're smiling from ear to ear.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the big thing about Joe Cox, I mean, when you look at Cox and just look at the Crimson Tide's tight end group in this 2024 recruiting class, there's a lot to like about each of the guys they have verbally committed. And the next, not verbally committed, signed now. And the next guy I want to talk about is a guy who a lot of people don't talk about enough in my mind. Of course, Caleb Odum. Like I said, I think Caleb Odum is really good. I think Caleb Odum has a lot of potential, but I also like Jay Lindsey a whole lot. I don't think this guy gets talked about enough in terms of what he brings to the table. One of the more physical players I've seen play. Explosive. The first time I saw him play was actually a defensive end. I thought he was going to be an outside linebacker. Let's take a look at what he brings to the table and the way that he plays. I'm talking about this guy plays a physical brand of football, and he's going to be special for the Crimson Tide. I think he can be an outside linebacker if he wanted to at the next level. Just the way that he plays and the athleticism that he plays with. And like I was telling Steven earlier, I think he will fit into that same mold that Robbie Oots fits in for the Crimson Tide at that tight end position, based at the fullback.
I'm asking this, Justin. Remember when you covered Drew Sanders in that 2020 class out of Texas? And Sanders played both tight end and linebacker before ultimately he became a linebacker at Alabama, of course transferred to Arkansas, now in the NFL. Is there a bit of Drew Sanders here in Lindsey, or is it completely different here?
I think it's a little bit different. I think Sanders was a little bit more I would say Sanders was a different level of athlete than Lindsey is. I think Sanders was just a special type of athlete. When you take a look at Lindsey, I think the thing that just stands out, like I said, is that smash mouth football that he likes to play. He did play small school football, so that his competition wasn't as great as some of the other guys, but he dominated it like he was supposed to. I know a lot of people like to bring that up, like, yo, what is the competition level? He isn't playing anybody. Okay, if he isn't playing anybody, you have to dominate it then, and that's exactly what Lindsey does. He dominates that level of competition like he is supposed to, if he's going to be that type of guy who's going to play at a level of college football like Power 5, like the SEC, and playing at Alabama and playing to the standard that Alabama plays at. I like this guy. I think he's a sleeper in his 2024 recruiting class because that type of physicality is going to translate over the way that he plays. And I just think Alabama fell in love with him after watching his film. I came across him before he got an Alabama offer. He got an offer from Mississippi State, one of his first SEC offers. He's committed to the Bulldogs. And the Crimson Tide eventually came on, gave him that offer, and began to recruit him. And it's no secret why they wanted him to be a part of the 2024 recruiting class. We can take a look at what he brings to the table.
Lindsey here, I mean, you can look at the size, so you look at the physicality, you look at the ability to catch the football from a tight end standpoint. I mean, high pulling the ball, jumping up, making catches there. So another guy in the room for Joe Cox to really, really be excited about.
Yeah, like I said, and with him, that he's a little bit different from Odum. The blocking is not going to be a problem for Jay Lindsey. The blocking is going to come really easy. Like I said, I think this guy could be a defender. The way that he comes in, like rocks ball carriers on the defensive side of the football. And I just think this just speaks to the way that he plays on the game. He said he loves to play smash mouth football, and his film proves that when you take a look at what he brings to the table. So with him, it's not going to be like the physicality of the game, the blocking standpoint. He's going to have that. The thing that's going to be that he's going to have to develop is the route running ability. Just try to become a complete tight end. But I'm high on him. I like what he brings to the table, and I'm high on his potential.
Oh man! So as we flip here now, Justin, I guess here to defense for a minute, and we pick up this guy right here. I understand, because I remember when his dad came. When his dad came in 2009, and was national champion, two-time national champion for Alabama. That's Drake Kirkpatrick. Now we get the son Dre Jr. comes in here, and we all just feel old because we watch Dre Sr. Now here's Dre Jr. in here, and you watched him at the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. He was flying all over the field, attacking the football. Here is the legacy right here, and he talked about, I want to be a better player. I want to be a better man. I want to be an all-around impactful guy, and I know the University of Alabama is going to do that, for me. He's listed here, 3-star linebacker. What do you make of this, man? What does this do, seeing Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. continue the legacy following his pops?
When you take a look at Kirkpatrick, of course, listed as a 3-star, I think he's going to continue to be evaluated. Although he's already enrolled at the University of Alabama, participating in bowl prep with the Crimson Tide. He's a defensive back, a very scrappy defensive back, an opportunist. That's what I called him. He never seems to miss an opportunity to get the football, whether that is with an interception, whether that is ripping the football away. He's always looking to try to get his hand on the football, and that is something that just came to fruition at the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, which he finished with one of the most dominant defensive performance by an individual that I've seen in that game. This guy finished that game with 2 interceptions, a punt block, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery in several tackles. Really impressive.
That you know what that speaks to me, Justin? Tyron Honey Badger Matthew, who played at LSU. When you said 2 picks, fumble recovery, forced fumble, block punt, that tells me Tyron Matthew.
Yeah, that is the type of style that he plays with. Like I said, he's an opportunist who's just always looking for the opportunity to go and get the football. He's also a guy who had several punt returns during his senior season, return for touchdowns, of course, so he was impressive in that aspect. So I think this is a solid get for the Crimson Tide. He's going to continue to develop, going to continue to get better. I think the thing with him when it comes to being a defensive back, the thing that I think he's just going to have to make sure that he continues to work on is staying disciplined at times. When you are an opportunist, you can't get in trouble at times trying to get the football.
Too much.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the thing that he has to work on the most, because I've seen him play a couple of times on multiple different occasions. Of course, the Alabama Mississippi All-Star game, him being opportunists really helped him. But it was a couple games I saw him play earlier in the season where it came and bite him. So that's something he's going to have to work on. But I like the potential of Dre Kirkpatrick with him being an Alabama legacy, the first first Nick Saban era legacy for the Crimson Tide. And I think this is a great get for the Crimson Tide. But we are going to take a break here, but we're not really going to take like an official break, because we have a lot of content that we're going to show you guys during our break, similar to our last National Signing Day recruiting show. But we'll be back to talk about more of the guys who have signed with the Crimson Tide, talk about the upcoming flip targets for the Crimson Tide who are set to announce their decisions later on today. This is the earlier part of the day. Some of those flips are going to start. Some of those flip targets are going to start announcing their decisions around noon and around that 1 p.m. time. So we will keep you updated on all of those. We will take a break here, and we will be right back with our live National Signing Day show. Dixon's wrecking havoc off the edge.
Jalen Nabakwe, class of 2024, committed to Alabama, 5-star, and I go to Clayton High School.
What was it about Alabama that made you want to commit to them?
I mean, just having talks with Coach Saban, Coach Roach, Coach T-Rob. I mean, just sitting down, talking with them and my family. I mean, it was a great decision to just commit and finally shut everything down.
What was it that made you go into that decision and shut everything down?
I mean, like I said, just talking to Coach Saban. I mean, just a great talk with him. Plus, also like him being my DB coach, so that'll also be great too.
Alabama 2024 4-star defensive lineman for me, Jeremiah Odum. Big game, man. What does this game mean for you guys to pick up a win over a rival?
It means a lot. You know, it's a very competitive rivalry we have on going against Ramsey, but I feel like as a team, as a whole, as a leader, I feel like I let my team down. We came out a little sloppy. We wasn't playing Parker football. We wasn't playing our brand of football. We had a great game, first game, second game. We came out a little slow. We got to have all games like the first game. I feel like that's me as a leader taking responsibility. We'll have a sit down and talk Sunday.
And of course, you're committed to Alabama. How would you describe the level of that commitment at this point in time?
Locked in, 100%.
Do you have any visits locked up at the moment?
I know I'm going to Colorado. I'm going to the Iron Bowl, and I'm going to a lot of Bama games.
I got you, man. And what are some of the things you want to show during your senior season? Some of the improvements that you have made.
Just my explosiveness, getting off the ball, striking. I want to prove my right to have my fifth star.
Alabama commitment and everything. How's things going with Alabama at the moment?
Man, everything is great. Talking to Kevin Still every day. Talking to Coach Ball every day. They come to see practice sometime this week. So I've been just keeping in touch. Just trying to learn the playbook. That's been the biggest thing.
And of course, Auburn, some other programs are trying to flip through and everything. Who are some of the programs that are trying the hardest at the moment?
LSU, Georgia, and Auburn.
What is your thoughts about LSU? Because I know you really like LSU early on. Just what are your thoughts about LSU?
Definitely a good program. They're trying to play me kind of like Harold Perkins. Just play edge, outside, inside linebacker, and just like that. I'm going to take an official visit.
Auburn. You got this new feel about Auburn. Just what are your thoughts about the Tigers?
They're definitely going to be pretty good. Talk to Hugh Freeze every day. He makes sure to call me. The inside linebacker, the coach is doing a good job recruiting me. I love them, but I'm staying committed to them.
When you take a look at your particular skill set, your hybrid linebacker, the Crimson Tide have talked about possibly playing you inside. What are you looking to show this upcoming season in terms of being a complete linebacker?
I'm gonna start playing inside. Like if you guys watch Inside Today, I'll be playing inside linebacker, flowing, filling gaps. And that's something that I got pretty good at. I moved better than last year. The whole time, like the whole offseason, I've really been pretty much just working at inside linebacker, working on my hip flexibility, and pretty much all that stuff. So I'm just ready to showcase.
Here, folks, from the break on a Wednesday, National Signing Day for your Crimson Tide right here. Doing the show from the Birmingham area in studios, yours truly, Stephen Smith, with the director of scouting and recruiting for Touchdown Alabama magazine, Justin Smith, right here with me. Gotta give a shout out to Tobias from Fresno with that $20 donation in the Super Chats. Appreciate that from Tobias. But while we were in the break, Justin, we got the signing from five-star Jalen Mbakwe, defensive back from Clay Chalkville High School, a young man that you paid a lot of attention to this whole year. He can do it all. Can play defensive back, can play wide receiver, can play quarterback. Led Clay Chalkville from the quarterback position to a Class 6A state championship in a beautiful game between Clay Chalkville and Saraland High School, where you saw Mbakwe and Ryan Williams both go at it there. Clay Chalkville getting the 31-28 win, if I'm not mistaken. But Mbakwe coming to Tuscaloosa to be a defensive back.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to look at Mbakwe here before we talk about those flip targets. We are going to talk about multiple flip targets who are set to announce in the next couple of hours after we break down Mbakwe here. And you said it, Stephen. When you take a look at Mbakwe's career at Clay Chalkville High School in Pinson, Alabama, this guy played everywhere. He played defensive back. He played wide receiver. He played quarterback. He was he's a guy who can be impressive as a returner. We had an opportunity to see Mbakwe in multiple facets during his high school career, whether that's 7-on-7, whether that's actually playing actual game, multiple games for Clay Chalkville. I've seen him line up at cornerback. I've seen him play receiver. I seen him this past season play quarterback a couple of times. As you said, Stephen, earlier, he led Clay Chalkville to a 6A state championship, and he's a guy who fits in that mold of a Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think their games are kind of similar. Of course, both of them are from Pinson and that Pinson, Alabama area, that Birmingham area. But I think Mbakwe could be definitely, in my opinion, as a faster Kool-Aid McKinstry. McKinstry, you could say a little bit more athletic, just taking a look at his basketball background. But Mbakwe is a guy with verified speed, track type of speed. He won the 6A state championship in the 100-meter dash last spring. And he's a guy who I think has the potential to be really good. And he has been really good high school football level for several years. So this is a good get for the Crimson Tide to hold on to in this 2024 recruiting class. I think he's just a guy who Alabama fans will really like in the future in terms of just how versatile and some of the things that he will be able to do in Tuscaloosa.
I think the one thing that's really good about getting Mbakwe in this class is he has a chance to actually grow and develop as a corner because he's played so many positions in high school. He played quarterback, he played receiver, he played defensive back, he was a return guy. So he never really got that chance to become a seasoned individual at just one respective position. So now he gets that chance to do that. And it's good because Alabama has signed guys in the past, like a Dez Ricks, like a Jaleel Hurley, a Tony Mitchell. They got other defensive backs already in place. So this gives Mbakwe a chance to get his weight good, his strength good, his technique good, and when his time comes, he'll be able to just slide in there.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think the biggest thing with any of these guys, like I said, they are going to be guys who are going to have to be developed. That's just something that comes with coming to a school like Alabama. But I think Alabama's defensive back class this 2024 recruiting cycle is really impressive, and it's led by a guy like Jalen Mbakwe who's willing to do it all. Like I said, he's a guy who's a willing tackler. He will come down and make tackles. He is impressive in coverage because he showed that at the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game recently. So he's a guy who has flashed in coverage as well, although you will see most of the times over the last couple of seasons his highlights come from playing wide receiver and also playing quarterback, but he also has some experience at defensive back. But like you said, he gets the opportunity really now to hone in on being a true defensive back at the next level once he officially enrolls in Alabama at the University of Alabama in January. He had an opportunity to really just focus on defensive back, which is something he hasn't had the privilege of doing because he's such a great athlete. I can put you at quarterback. You can lead me to a state championship in one of the hardest classifications inside the state of Alabama when it comes to high school football, and it just shows you how impressive of an athlete Jalen Mbakwe is. And like I said before we begin to break down Mbakwe, we do want to begin to talk about the flips. Everybody wants to talk about the potential flips because those are the talks of today. Those are the things that everybody wants to talk about. And of course, when we talk about those flips, you have to talk about a guy like 4-star running back Kevin Riley out of Northport High School in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And Riley is one of the more impressive running backs in the 2024 recruiting class because of how explosive this guy is. He's crazy explosive. The way that he hits the hole is something you just want to look at, just the way that he is able to just explode and separate from other defenders. Of course, verbally committed to Miami at the moment. He did take an official visit to Alabama earlier this month, which sort of came out of nowhere. You knew that he's verbally committed to Miami, and the Crimson Tide were going to still recruit him because he's a Tuscaloosa area kid, a guy who knows what it means to play for the University of Alabama. I remember talking to him before he committed to Miami, and he just told me that he knows what comes with being recruited by Alabama. He knows it's something special, especially being a Tuscaloosa area kid. Those guys don't really get an opportunity to play for Alabama. They grow up in Tuscaloosa, but they don't really always get an opportunity to play football at the University of Alabama, and that is something that he really appreciated getting recruited by the Crimson Tide. Was growing a close relationship with Alabama before he committed to Miami, but he did eventually commit to the Hurricanes, but Alabama stayed in contact and were able to get him on campus for that official visit. And it looks as if they rolled the red carpet out for the Miami commit, who is now considering, at least from what I am hearing, to possibly flip to the Crimson Tide. And this is something that does not come as a surprise, and this is something that I knew Alabama was possibly going to struggle with when it comes to that running back position in this 2024 recruiting class, because when you take a look at the guys who are going to be in front of Riley if he does go on to flip to the Crimson Tide, you have guys like Justice Haynes, you have Richard Young, you have Jam Miller, who's most likely going to come back, and he's like, what is the path for me to get on the field? And that is something I always talk about when I talk with recruits, like, what is the path for you to get on the field? Of course, early playing time is something that everyone should not consider, but I also feel like you at least want a path to possibly get on the field, and that is something that I know running backs were going to consider when looking at Alabama. But Kevin Riley is one of those flip targets for the Crimson Tide, who's verbally committed to Miami, set to announce his signing on today at 1:00 p.m. We will have that signing live on our national signing day show to see what Riley will ultimately do.
Now, before we get into the next flip target here, I just got this one thing here on Riley. You look at Alabama in the past. You got Bo Scarborough in the 2014 class from Northridge High School in the Tuscaloosa area. And in 2017, you got Brian Robinson from Tuscaloosa, from Hillcrest High School. I covered him personally. So you got those two from the Tuscaloosa area. If you're able to get Kevin Riley, of whom, when I look at him, the speed he has, that's Kenyon Drake type speed almost. That's definitely Kenyon Drake type speed. And I know you brought up, what is my path to get on the field? And Coach Saban will tell you where your path is special teams. You go out there, you ball out on special teams, there is your opportunity. But for a lot of guys, special teams is not the most sexiest thing for them. They want to get out there on the field and play at their position right away, play at that position quickly. But in the event that Kevin Riley does flip, just from watching this, there is a lot of Kenyon Drake speed right there.
Yeah, like I said, he's really explosive. We're gonna break down this film a little bit later in the show before he announces a decision. But he's one of those flip targets everyone wants to know about, along with Edric Houston, the 5-star defensive lineman who we talked about to open the show. He's a 5-star defensive lineman out of Bruford High School in Bruford, Georgia. He's verbally committed to the Ohio State Buckeyes. He's been verbally committed to the Buckeyes for several months now. Took an unofficial visit to Alabama recently, and then things began to change. It seems as if Alabama has a chance now to possibly pull in the late flip from a guy like Edric Houston from a school Alabama is really familiar with. When you take a look at Bruford High School, you look at Alabama's roster, so many Bruford products. When you take a look at Isaiah Bond, everybody knows Bond now from 4th and 31, of course, Seth McLaughlin, he's a Bruford product. You have Jake Pope, you have Justice Haynes. So Bruford is a school Alabama loves to recruit. They seem to have a very good relationship with when you take a look at their roster. So it's no surprise that they were going to be in consideration once Edric Houston was going to look at other options outside of Ohio State. And if Alabama can pull this guy in to this recruiting class, this class is going to continue to get better. I know a lot of Alabama fans want to talk about this. Is Alabama going to have the #1 recruiting class? When you got a guy, when you can add a guy like Houston, you get further along in that conversation. No matter what recruiting site you take a look at, Edric Houston is going to be one of those guys who can change things for the Crimson Tide, possibly with them pulling up late here in this 2024 recruiting cycle and possibly snagging that #1 ranking from multiple recruiting sites.
Also, Justin, if you're able to get Edric Houston, if you're able to get this big-time 5-star prospect right here, what this also does is it enhances your defensive line room. Because a lot of Alabama fans are wondering, where is that nasty, I'm going to mess you up defensive lineman, primarily at the defensive end spot. A lot of Alabama fans have been wondering, where is the Jonathan Allens that once were, the Deron Paynes that once were. Now, Tim Keenan has had a strong season this year. It's been a revelation. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Jaheim Otis this year. Justin Aboigbe, his decision to come back for a 5th year, very good, very prominent. But if you get a guy like an Edric Houston, somebody that's a 5-star guy that can make some plays that pull your eyeballs out your socket, this is what Alabama fans want. Pull my eyeballs out my socket. Compel me to watch you, and that's what Houston does. He's a guy that compels you to watch him. It'll be interesting to see, what he does here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest thing when you take a look at Alabama's 2024 recruiting class and these flip targets is what Nick Saban is able to do at the end of these recruiting classes. When you take a look at Alabama in the past, where you see them pull off these late flips on signing day, where you don't really hear a lot.
I still remember the Reuben Foster flip from so many years ago.
You don't really hear a lot of talk about these guys months leading up to the signing day, but when December gets here, when Nick Saban is able to get on that road, and when Saban comes to your house, things seem to change with a lot of guys, and that's something that we see a lot of times late in these recruiting cycles, and that's why we're talking about flips on today in this 2024 recruiting class. Aaron Hampton is another guy who's up for flip consideration. Hampton is a 4-star athlete who could be a wide receiver, could be a defensive back at the next level, and the Crimson Tide are targeting him to possibly join our 2024 recruiting class. Verbally committed to Texas at the moment, so we'll see what happens with Hampton as well. So Saban is trying to flip a lot of things when it comes to this 2024 recruiting class. Of course, still some targets coming up who are set to announce their decision over the next hour or so.
Okay, so Justin, I'm going to have you put on the Nick Saban hat. If you are Nick Saban right now, and you're looking at Aaron Hampton as on this board as an athlete, he could play DB, he could play receiver. With all the defensive backs that you currently have on the roster, at wide receiver, you've recently lost Ja'Cory Brooks, who's now at Louisville. You've lost Thayou Jones-Bell to the portal. You're going to be losing Jermaine Burton after the season to the NFL. Yes, you bring back Isaiah Bond, Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law, but would you look at Hampton as a wide receiver versus the defensive back?
I think I like him more at receiver, just how explosive he is at that wide receiver position. I think that's something that's most impressive when you take a look at him. So we'll take a look at what he brings to the table here. We're actually going to take another break, but we'll be right back on with you guys as we continue our live National Signing Day show.
Non. D'accord, on va continuer alors. Donc ça va être la période de scrum, donc c'est officiel.
Est-ce qu'on peut aller sur la scène pour ça?
Non, ça roulait jusqu'à l'eau. Juste la France qui j'ai demandé en fait, ça avait été un peu bon quelques petites fois.
We are back on our live National Signing Day show as the Crimson Tide just picked up a commitment from 2024 four-star defensive lineman Steve Moore out of Canada, a 6'4", 260-pound four-star defensive lineman as Crimson Tide continue to recruit internationally, you can say, as they have landed a guy from Canada, they landed a prospect from Germany as well. But when you take a look at what Steve brings to the table, there's a lot to like in terms of his physicality. When you take a look at him being a defensive lineman, of course, he's a dominant, explosive, physical guy in the trenches who the Crimson Tide are lucky to add to their 2024 recruiting class. When you take a look at Alabama's defensive line, heading into today, it was the weakness of their one of the weaknesses of their class, not because of the guys they had committed, because they only had two guys committed. When you take a look at Jeremiah Beeman and Isaiah Faga, those are the only verbal commitments the Crimson Tide had heading into the day when it comes to that defensive line position. Now you add Steve, and you possibly could add Edric Houston to this 2024 recruiting class. And you take a look at Alabama's defensive line, it's becoming a strength as Alabama tries to push to close out this 2024 recruiting class with a bang. Of course, we waiting on him to sign, but he is expected to sign with Alabama later today. But right now, he is in Alabama commit as Alabama waits to get that official letter of intent, so he will become a signing for the Crimson Tide. But right now he becomes the Crimson Tide's 23rd commit in this 2024 recruiting class out of Canada.
Well, this is good for Freddie Roach to get Mbamoa, get him committed. It'll be awesome to see him sign and get that national letter of intent in. Like you mentioned, on the defensive line, Alabama fans are wondering, when are we going to see that next wave of just guys up front on the interior, get after the quarterback, stop the run, make relentless plays in the backfield. So adding Mbamoa is huge here. You already got Isaiah Faga, that's big. You got Jeremiah Beeman, that's big. If you could flip Edric Houston, that's huge for this program. But if you are Freddie Roach, you got yourself in a good spot right here, especially with Isaiah Hastings pursued the portal. You had Anquin Barnes pursue the portal. You've got Justin Aboigbe that will be leaving after this year, pursuing the draft. So you need to restock here on defensive linemen. So adding Mbamoa, this is big here.
Yeah, I think this is really good for the Crimson Tide. Just taking a look at this guy's potential. I think this guy has potential to be really good at the next level. Just the way that he plays, how explosive he is, the way that he moves as a defensive lineman, and he's coming to hit you as hard as he possibly can. Of course, like I said, 6'4", 260 pounds. You see him playing off the ball. You don't see too many defensive linemen playing off the ball and playing in space the way that this kid is able to do it. So I think this is a significant get for the Crimson Tide. Picking up a commitment from him on National Signing Day. Of course, this seemed like this is always going to happen. Just taking a look at his recruitment, picked up an offer from the Crimson Tide, and once he got to Alabama, he actually went to Montgomery to train at Madhouse Training, who Alabama coaching staff has a lot of respect for, because they have worked with a lot of guys who have come from that program, including in the last recruiting cycles, signing 5-star prospects, Quay Russaw and James Smith. So this is not something that is a surprise for the Crimson Tide, but the way that this guy is able to move at that size, this guy is a good get for the Crimson Tide.
So Justin, here's my thought here, because you have a lot of Alabama fans showing some concern with getting Mbamoa, with getting a couple of these other guys, and also in the portal, you pulled in LT Overton from Texas A&M. What does that do for guys like James Smith? What does that do for guys like Curtis Perry? In-state guys that came with the program, they have some experience now under their belt. What does that do for those guys? Does that hurt those guys?
I think, of course, Alabama's always going to be competition. You come to Alabama to compete. They know that it's going to be competition every year, so that's just the standard. At Alabama, Alabama's going to continue to sign the best, so you're going to continue to compete with and compete against the best. That's just part of coming to Tuscaloosa. So when you take a look at Steve, I think he has the opportunity to push in the future in that defensive line group to be really good, but it all depends on a lot of different factors. It just isn't as simple as those guys look really good on film when it comes to what they will be able to be at the next level, because like we said earlier, everybody's not going to come in and get an opportunity and just be able to play immediately and just have the opportunity placed right there in front of them. So we'll see what happens with a guy like Steve when it comes to Alabama's defensive front. There's a lot of guys who are coming back next season, and like I said, Alabama's 2024 defensive line recruiting class continues to get better as the day goes on. It seems when you already have a guy like Beeman, you have Faga, and now you're adding Steve to go along with possible Edric Houston, and his defensive line class is starting to look really good.
So big ups there to one Freddie Roach on that recruiting trail. But another guy that has signed would be Rydarius Morgan, a defensive back out of Central High School. This guy right here, speed, coverage ability, tackling ability, the ability to close on plays. Really like what Morgan brings to the table. Another big up there to Travaris Robinson, of course. These DBs have seen what T-Rob has done with Terrion Arnold, what he's done with Kool-Aid, what he's done helping out the likes of Malachi Moore, Trey Amos. They're seeing T-Rob and they're saying, I got to be coached by him. T-Rob played defensive back at Auburn, played defensive back a little bit in the NFL. He's coached DBs. He's been a D coordinator before. T-Rob has got the juice for these guys.
And when you take a look at Morgan, the thing that's really impressive about him, like you said, is the way that he plays fast, physical, and violent, but he's not the biggest guy on the field. He plays with a lot of heart. You take a look at that 6 foot, 175-pound frame. He may even weigh less than that because he is a guy who just doesn't carry a lot of weight at the moment, which is something that he's going to have to change as he continues to grow. He's going to add on some weight once he gets to Alabama, but this guy plays with a lot of heart. When you turn on this film, there's a lot to like. One of the first things that college coaches look for when they turn on a guy's film, especially a guy like a defensive back, a defensive skill player, is what he can do on special teams. When you watch Rodarius Morgan on special teams as a gunner, he's usually the first guy down. He's the first guy down to the football, and he's going after the football. So you see the effort that Morgan plays with. So he may not have the size that a lot of guys who are going to sign to major Power 5 schools have when it comes to defensive back position, but he doesn't play that way. He's got to play fast, physical, and violent. He's coming to hit you when you get an opportunity, whether that is on kickoff, whether that is when he's playing on the back end at safety.
Now, Justin, remember a guy who came into Alabama, I believe it was the 2011 class, 2011-2012. He came in, he didn't have a lot of size, but he played with big heart, and when his number was called, he was huge for Alabama in that 2015 national championship team. That was Cyrus Jones out of Gilmore High School in Baltimore, Maryland. I remember when Bama got Cyrus Jones, I believe it was 2011 or 2012. Cyrus came in, was not the most physical corner, but he came in, did a lot on special teams. He took his lumps, he took his wounds there, but 2015, that year, Cyrus became huge for the Crimson Tide in terms of defensive back and on punt return, helping Alabama get to a national championship.
Yeah, and I think he's a guy who I think they are a little bit different in terms of their frame, but the same thing still remains. There are guys who are going to have to continue to grow and continue to get better. I think he's a guy who maybe a little bit longer than Cyrus. I think
He right there is a bit longer than Cyrus.
Yeah, and I think Cyrus ended up probably a little bit more thicker than Morgan, but Morgan is a guy who, like I said, a little bit on the smaller side, but he's gonna get an opportunity to go to Alabama, like you said, under that nutrition program. Gaining weight and gaining muscle is going to be one of his biggest priorities when he gets to Tuscaloosa as an early enrollee, and that is something Nick Saban talks about. He said he feels that Alabama has fixed their weight problem from both perspectives, whether you are a guy who has to gain weight or whether you are a guy who has to lose weight to get on the field. And I think Morgan is going to take on that challenge, but I just like the heart that this guy plays with and how fast, physical, reaction skills, the way that he coaches on the football is better than a lot of guys in his 2024 recruiting class, and a lot of college coaches at the Power 5 level are really impressed with Rodarius Morgan. Was verbally committed to Florida State before he backed off that commitment and flipped to the Crimson Tide.
Somebody that Coach Saban, defensive coordinator Kevin Steele, and Travaris Robinson very excited to get here in this defensive back room. One Rodarius Morgan from Central High School. Going to be fun to watch this kid play.
Yeah, for sure. And I like what he brings to the table because, like I said, the heart that he plays with, that's something that can't be taught. That's something that just within him. So I think that is something that's going to benefit Alabama in the future. He's also bringing his teammate, Isaiah Faga, out of Central Phoenix City High School as well. So the Crimson Tide, who seem to struggle, have seemed to struggle at Central Phoenix City in recent recruiting classes.
They're finally starting to get kids from that program back in Tuscaloosa, because for a while, Justin Ross came from Central Phoenix City in 2018. You lost him to Clemson, and then you had the Coleman kid at wide receiver to come from that same program. He commits to Texas A&M, then flips from A&M to, I believe, Auburn. So for Alabama to be able to go back into Central Phoenix City, get Isaiah Faga, and now Rodarius Morgan, this is a huge kudos to the Coach Saban to snatch that program back as a potential pipeline for the University of Alabama.
Yeah, for sure. When you look at Faga, of course, signing with the Crimson Tide, there's a lot to like about what Faga brings to the table as well. Listed as a 3-star recruit on most recruiting sites at the moment. He doesn't have the prototypical length that Alabama looks for when it comes to guys in the trenches, but they really like what they saw from him after seeing him in camp and watching his film. He immediately became one of their top targets, was verbally committed to the verbally committed to Utah when he first got the offer from the Crimson Tide. And Alabama's defensive line coach Freddie Roach told him the moment that he got an offer from the Crimson Tide that he was going to be a priority for them, and they wanted to get him back on campus as soon as possible. And when you take a look at what Faga brings to the table, you see that explosiveness when the ball snaps. You see him able to get out of his stance before offensive linemen are able to get up. You see him be explosive. You see him be able to play in spacing. You see him be able to take on blocks, get off of blocks, use his hands and arms really well. So I like the upside of Faga, a guy who, like I said, doesn't have that prototypical size and the length that Alabama goes for in the trenches, but I like his upside as well.
It's very good upside. And then you look at this also with Faga is concerned. I remember when Jesse Williams came to Alabama in that 2011 class. He came in from Australia, came in from Western Arizona Western Community College. When he came in 2011, Jesse Williams didn't necessarily have the desired length also. But remember, he comes in, made an immediate impact from junior college, helped Alabama become a two-time BCS national champion 2011 and 2012. And Jesse Williams had a marquee impact on both of those teams, primarily from the defensive tackle position. So Williams came in, didn't have the length, but big upside, huge motor. Same thing for Isaiah Faga here.
Yeah, I like what the potential what Faga brings to the table. We saw him play at the beginning of this last football season when Central Phoenix City took on here at Trussville High School, and he was able to make some plays on that night. So the Crimson Tide pull in Faga as part of that 2024 recruiting class. Officially a nice get for them out of Central Phoenix City High School in Phoenix City, Alabama. We're going to continue to look at this 2024 recruiting class and guys who are already signed to the University of Alabama. Now we're going to flip back over to the offensive side of the football and take a look at a guy at wide receiver Enrico Scott, a 4-star wide receiver out of Bishop McDevitt School in Pennsylvania. And that's not of course an area that Alabama recruits at a very high level, but Enrico Scott is a guy who another one of those guys who doesn't seem to get talked about enough at the wide receiver position. I think the thing that impresses me the most about the Pennsylvania project is the explosiveness and the toughness that he brings to the wide receiver position, as the Crimson Tide are going to look to lock up a solid 2024 wide receiver class. Hopefully they're able to hold on to Ryan Williams and he signs with the Crimson Tide in February. You already have Amari Jefferson who's expected to sign in February as well. So the Crimson Tide want to lock up an impressive 2024 recruiting class, and they took the 2024 wide receiver recruiting class, and they took the first step today by signing Rico Scott.
I'll say this, Justin, the last recruit that Alabama at wide receiver got from Pennsylvania, 2013, Robert Foster, Monica, Pennsylvania. They went and got him. Now, Robert Foster did not fully materialize. Injuries played a role in that, but that guy's speed, verified 4.2 140, was Robert Foster. Rico Scott, as a 4-star, I love the speed. I love the ability to play on the ground as well as the air. Very physical hands, getting up there, attacking the football. So it's good to see Alabama go back to the Pennsylvania area for a wide receiver. Had not done that since Robert Foster.
Yeah, and like you said, he's a guy who has good speed. Like I said, the explosiveness is the first thing that steps out to me. How quickly he's able to accelerate and seems to be able to get up to top speed. How quickly he's able to get off of the football out of his release. I think that player there's one of the most impressive examples of what he's able to do. So the Crimson Tide are going to want to continue to add talent to their wide receiver room to go along with the potential of this offense moving forward. With you signing a guy like Julian Sand, holding on to a guy like Caleb Odum, I like the potential of Jay Lindsey, and Rico Scott adds more potential to this offensive group for the Crimson Tide. He's another guy who's going to strengthen this class and why they are well on their way to possibly being the #1 recruiting class by the time that everything is wrapped up in this 2024 recruiting cycle. This National Signing Day is going to play a huge role in Alabama possibly having that #1 recruiting class once again, which seems to be just routine for Alabama at this point in time.
Before we get to our next signee, Justin, we got to give a shout out to Magic City, who drops in $19.99 in the Super Chats. He has written in, locked in. Let's do it. Roll, Tide, roll. So Magic City putting in that $19 99 in the super chat right there. We appreciate that from him. But the next signee, Justin, who we got here?
As we continue to look on, of course, in this 2024 recruiting class, going back to the defensive side of football, Peyton Woodyard has signed with the Crimson Tide at the safety position at St. John Bosco High School in Bellflower, California. When you take a look at Woodyard, I think the thing that impressed me the most when I watched this film is how many plays he's able to make close to the line of scrimmage in a way that he's able to make tackles in space. I think that is a thing that impresses me the most about this physical defensive back. He's a guy who the Crimson Tide has prioritized throughout this 2024 recruiting cycle, and I would say even before, because Alabama's defensive back coach Travaris Robinson, Nick Saban, basically traveled to California when Woodyard was a junior and told him, yo, we're not going to stop recruiting him, because he was verbally committed to the Georgia Bulldogs for quite some time, and they told him, yo, you're still going to be a top priority for him. When he got back to Tuscaloosa, when he was a Bulldog commit, they sat him down, turned on film, and said, yo, this is how we are going to use him. Use you. They basically showed Peyton Woodyard that they had a plan for him in particular with this skill set and what he brings to the table, and that they really, really wanted him in Tuscaloosa in the future. And I think this is a guy who the Crimson Tide's coaching staff just prioritized and really wanted to add to the 2024 recruiting class.
No, Justin, do you see Woodyard as more of a box safety, or do you see him more as an all-around safety where he can play in the box, he can stick his nose in, he can stop the run, he can also play the lower third of coverage and bait quarterbacks into poor throws, creating turnovers? Is he a box safety, or is he an all-around safety in your opinion?
I think he has the potential to be an all-around safety. I just think that is just what he just shined at St. John Bosco High School. You see him play all over the field. You see him play sometimes closer to the line of scrimmage inside of the box, but you see him play over the top, just all over that secondary, playing all over the field. You see him right there. He's not in the box anymore on that play, but you see him get down really quickly to the fender run. You see him come from all different spots in that secondary, and he's able to make tackles. So it's not one particular spot, more so inside covering the slot by the receiver, more so in the box right there, you would say. So he's just a guy who just plays all over the secondary for St. John Bosco High School. So he is another good get for the Crimson Tide. Like I said, I think the biggest thing is the way that he tackles. I think that's something that you can't get away from. It's so valuable, sometimes get overlooked, but if Caleb Downs showed you anything this past season, tackling is ultimately really, really important, and it's something that can be very valuable to a defensive back, as we see Peyton Woodyard play inside the box on that last play again.
Look at Woodyard here. I mean, he brings the tackling, he brings the physicality, he brings the toughness, but also he brings the ability, once again, breaking on the football. It's like he gets the ball, closing speed. He's able to prevent wide receivers there from making plays there. So another huge piece for Travaris Robinson, coaching up, developing, getting prepared, because Woodyard enters a room where you're in the same room with the Tony Mitchell. You're in the same room with the Jake Pope. You're in the same room with the Devontae Smith, who will be back as a safety. So you're in the same room with a lot of talented guys. The only guy that you're losing from that safety room is Malachi Moore, possibly Jalen Key, if he has a really good college football playoff, because a lot of those NFL scouts are going to be at those games. But if Key doesn't just snap in the playoff, you could have him return back. But Peyton Woodyard's in a very deep room.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he knows. Everyone knows that once they sign Alabama, there's going to be competition everywhere. And Peyton Woodyard is a guy who's excited to get Alabama. Grew up an Alabama fan, and he's just excited to live out his dream. Another guy from California who's coming to the Crimson Tide in this 2024 recruiting class is Xavier Brown, a four-star.
Really like this kid.
Four-star defensive back out of Mater Dei in California. And I think what stands out the most about Brown is the fact that he puts on teach tape. This is the type of guy, when you watch his film, he has the film that you want to show a kid that is playing cornerback at the middle school level or at the pee-wee level. You want to do what this guy is able to do in terms of his technique.
Justin, when I saw this kid, I thought Patrick Surtain. I saw a lot of Pat Surtain and Xavier Brown.
Yeah, and I think and those are that is the type of conversation he is often put in because of the technique and because of the length that he has, the way that he plays in man coverage, the way that he can mirror a wide receiver, the way that he only turns his head when the wide receiver turns his head, the confidence and the patience that he plays with at the cornerback position. That is why I am so high on Xavier Brown. He's able to make tackles in space as well, and he's a guy, when he's called on to make tackles in space, he's going to get lower than the ball carrier, because we all know the low man wins, and this is a guy who's going to consistently do that. So I'm high on Xavier Brown because of the technique that he plays in coverage. Like I said, he puts together teach tape the way that he plays in coverage and the technique that he plays with. But also, when he's called upon to make a tackle, he's going to come down, get lower than the ball carrier, and he's going to make a tackle. He's also can go up and attack the football, as we saw on that last play. So I like Xavier Brown for a long list of reasons in this 2024 recruiting class. Easily one of the top cornerbacks in his class, and there's a reason why he is, because he makes those shoestring type of tackles like he just made on that last play. And there's so many plays when you watch his film that you just can watch and like, yo, this guy has it, how patient he is and how under control he is at the cornerback position, whether he's playing on, whether he's playing off, whether he had to fight off blocks and get low once again to make a tackle.
Coach Saban's going to love working with Xavier. He's going to enjoy it. We know Travaris Robinson is the secondary coach, but we all know Coach Saban is out there sliding the feed, working with the cornerbacks on so many different aspects of the game. So, modern day high school is putting out talent. Of course, we all know with Bryce Young coming from that program from a quarterback perspective, but getting Xavier Brown as a 4-star defensive back, like I mentioned, when I watch him, I see a lot of Patrick Surtain in his games. This is going to be good to look at this kid.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is a great get for the Crimson Tide. And as we continue to move forward, we are going to continue to provide coverage for multiple Alabama targets who are set to announce commitments and signs at school of their choice, like you guys said in the chat, around noon. And we're going to cover Edric Houston, cover Aaron Hampton, cover Kevin Riley, because most of those guys' announcements are coming up very soon as the Crimson Tide continue to try to work on this 2024 recruiting class, as they have signed, like we broke down each of these guys who have already signed to the Crimson Tide. We can take a look at Darius Morgan, Caleb Odom, Rico Scott, Casey Poe, Will Sanders, Peyton Woodyard, Jay Lindsey, Drew Kirkpatrick Jr., Joseph Ayata, Faga. One guy who we haven't had an opportunity to get to just yet is a guy who we have covered extensively over the last couple of years, and that is Sterling Dixon,
Debo!
4-star linebacker out of Spanish Fort High School in Spanish Fort, Alabama. One of the more hybrid linebackers in this 2024 recruiting class because of the versatility that he brings to the table. He can play off the ball. He can play on the edge. As an outside linebacker, he really showed his ability to play as an off-the-ball linebacker for Spanish Fort High School when he moved up and played 6A football, playing 3A football at Mobile Christian School. He mostly used as an edge guy, but he was able to hone in on just being an inside linebacker, off the ball guy this past season, and he was really impressive at about 6'3", 6'4", 210 pounds. I would say he's a guy who's going to continue to add on weight, continue to add on muscle as well. And he has already joined the Crimson Tide for bowl prep, but he's not participating because of a shoulder injury. He had to go through surgery after he had a torn labrum in his shoulder. So he's a guy who's there on the campus, University of Alabama, but more so watching, doing bowl prep. But he is getting that. So he basically trying to get a head start, so he's able to be in front of guys who are even going to be, like I said, traditional early enrollees.
Now, Justin, when I initially saw Sterling Dixon, I think it was one of the first times you went down there and we saw the clip and the video of you being around him. When I first looked at Sterling, the first name that popped in my head was Tim Williams. He had the dreads like Tim Williams, the hair there, the same similar body structure as Tim Williams. Because remember, Timmy Williams out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in that 2013 class as a late 5-star. Tim Williams got to about 6'4", 230. Was not necessarily a big guy, but just explosive off the edge, really twitchy, really fast edge, bending ability, converting speed to power. And Tim would just light the daylights out of you when you watched him come out of Baton Rouge those years back. But when I first saw Sterling, the first guy that hit my mind was Timmy Williams.
Yeah, I can see why you say that in terms of his frame. And when you take a look at him working out, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was only like a sophomore in his particular video. So he's a guy who has gotten a lot bigger than he is in this video right now that we are showing. But like I said, he has that potential with his versatility, with him being just that hybrid linebacker that we like to see in today's game. You're going to have to be versatile and be able to play in a variety of different situations. So he's going to join his former teammate in Alabama starting linebacker Deontay Lawson. If Lawson is there next season, he's going to be able to learn from his former teammate.
I think Lawson will stick around because I know Lawson really wants to at some point definitely go to the NFL and play pro ball, but with some of the injuries that Lawson has dealt with this year, a few of those ankle issues, he wants to be back having a full year, 100% fully healthy, game by game to put on that tape for scouts. So I think even after the playoff, I think Lawson does come back.
So that'll be a good get for the Crimson Tide. Another guy who we haven't had an opportunity to talk about on today just yet, a guy who we're going to talk about as we continue to update our signing, as Amari Jefferson, who a lot of people originally thought was going to sign in February, has signed with the Crimson Tide. Jefferson, a 4-star wide receiver out of Baylor School, who was very, very impressive this past season.
He had a really good season.
Yeah, really good because of Baylor. The way that they feed him is really impressive, and he's a guy who is interesting because when you see him, he has like a thicker frame, a bigger frame than what you see out of most wide receivers, kind of like that Kendrick Law type of frame. So he has that thick frame at about 200 pounds. A guy who's verbally committed to play baseball for Tennessee at one time. He was never verbally committed to play football for Tennessee. That's why his football recruitment remained open. He's expected to play football and baseball at the University of Alabama.
I mean, and one thing I do like though about Amari Jefferson is he has a thick frame, but he kind of has that competitive mindset of Ardarius Stewart. When he came in the 2013 class from Fultondale High School, Ardarius was thicker frame, but he wanted to block. He wanted to just do everything possible to be on the football field, to get the ball, to block, to help, whatever he could do to have some type of an impact. And when I watch Amari Jefferson, yes, he could be the number one guy, the leading man out there, as he was this season, but he's not afraid to also get down and do some of that dirty work too.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like I said, he's used in a variety of ways. He was used in a variety of ways in Baylor's offense as a wide receiver, typically, of course, but sometimes he'll get the jet sweeps and they'll just give him the football and watch him work. He's a guy, although he's this 200-pound guy, he's a guy who can be explosive after the catch. So this is another get at wide receiver for the Crimson Tide.
Watch him just separate on the. Oh wow!
And you add, and that's at 200 pounds. You add him with a guy like Rico Scott. Hopefully, like I said, you can hold on to Ryan Williams in his wide receiver class. Is looking like it can be a head-turning type of class for the Crimson Tide in this 2024 recruiting class. But we are going to take another break. When we come back, it is going to be time to check out some possible flip targets for Alabama and see what their decisions will be, as Edric Houston is set to announce his decision at noon. And there's a lot that's going to happen at noon, and we're going to be right back with you guys very, very quickly and very, very soon as we try to check out what those guys' decisions will be.
Here now with Alabama's
Most
four-star
definitely.
linebacker, Sonny Sterling Dixon. By the time this video comes out, part of our signing day coverage, he will be already part of the Crimson Tide. I'm already a member of their football team as they prepare for their upcoming bowl game against the Michigan Wolverines. Sterling, this has been an interesting journey, especially me covering you and just watching your whole recruitment journey from the very, very early stages. What does it mean to you now? The moment for you to actually join the Crimson Tide is literally right in front of you.
This is everything I dreamed of. This is what I thank God for. It's what me and my family worked for. Man, and it's here now. It's time for me to get to work and just try to pursue my dreams. I want to be a freshman All-American. I want to win a national championship, and I want to get to the NFL. So I'm laser focused right now, and that's the biggest thing.
And of course, you had a very interesting senior year. Of course, you battled a injury to your shoulder, but before anyone could talk much about the injury, you were back on the field trying to contribute for Spanish Fort. What do you think you learned from that experience, and how is that particular situation impacting you enrolling at Alabama at the moment?
So with the shoulder situation, I had a torn labrum. I really just wanted to finish my senior season and make sure I finished strong. I wanted to just try to get a state championship before it was all said and done. So I just really toughed through it, and honestly, I just decided to have surgery as soon as possible. So as soon as the season ended, I wound up getting surgery, and now I'm just going during the bowl week. I'm pretty much just gonna watch and honestly just learn. I just even though I'm not gonna be on the field, I feel like if I just watch what they're doing, talk to the coaches, meet with the coaches, it's just gonna help me out in the long run. So in the spring, I'm gonna be ahead of the guys that haven't been there. So I'm just ready.
And another thing that's really interesting for you is that your former teammate is already a leader on Alabama's defense, a visual leader. When you look at Alabama on Saturday, you could tell that Deontay Lawson is one of those leaders on the defensive side of the football. Just what have your conversation with him been like, and what does it mean to just get an opportunity to play with him once again?
He just told me, he like, man, he's like, I'm finna give you everything that I got and everything I learned, so you can pretty much be in the same situation I was in. So I know that's a guy that I'm gonna stay under, learn from, and it's gonna be a fun ride. I'm gonna learn everything I can, and that's really just the biggest thing. I'm willing to do everything it takes to get on the field. So that's it.
When you look at Alabama's defense this past season, it looks a lot different than it has been in seasons in the past. And a lot of people attribute that to Kevin Steele. You could attribute that to some of the new faces on the defense, like Deontay Lawson, like a Caleb Downs, and just guys bringing some new energy to the defensive side of the football. Just what are your thoughts on how that defense is playing now and how it looks with you heading to it?
I just see a very physical defense. A lot of people don't realize it, but the defensive line playing super good, and they open it up linebackers to come through and field. The linebackers doing a good job of communicating with the safeties and D-line. So, man, I just got to say, man, Coach Steele, he's doing his thing, and he's blitzing them. And they pretty much just doing everything at a high level right now. So as a recruit coming in, you just look at them and be like, man, why not Bama? So that's really just the biggest thing.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I see that too at all three levels. That defense is playing really good. Like you said, one of the biggest difference I saw after watching them in person was the way how effectively guys on the defensive line were getting off blocks. Guys like Tim Kenny, you can see the difference, how they were just getting off blocks and making tackles, and it's spread all over the field. And Caleb Downs, I don't think you'll find a better tackling safety in the country. He's just a freshman, so the future is very bright for you guys on the defensive side of the football. And with the guys that you're coming in with, guys like Jalen Mbakwe, Caden Jones, just different guys on the defensive side of football. Just what are your thoughts on the class and the guys that are coming along with you in this 2024 recruiting class?
Man, Mbakwe, he's impressive. He refuses to lose. Every time he's counted, finds a way to just win. So with me just coming in with guys like that, it's special. Caden Jones, he's a special guy, special talent. I know he's gonna push me in the linebacker room. Me and him talk every day. It's already a brotherhood. So I can't wait to get in with some of those guys. Ron Williams reclass. Iron Sharp, offensive side of the ball going against Jalen. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk noise in practice, talk noise to the older guys, and we're just going to try to get them better, to be honest. We're going to grow as a class and pretty much as a team. So we're just ready to get up there. If somebody's got to be on the scout team, we're going to give them a look, and we're just going to wait our turn to get on the field. That's really just the biggest thing.
And when you look at you, man, you're a hybrid, versatile linebacker, a guy who could play rushing off the edge, could play standing up. You proved that this past season for Spanish Fort. What do you think Alabama? Well, what has the coaching staff been telling you as far as their plan for you as you continue to just develop and become a better just overall linebacker?
They kind of gonna use me as a money linebacker, the money linebacker position. You pretty much just rush, drop back, and man, they do a good job of just pretty much utilizing you. And you just play the inside linebacker position at a high level. So that's what I'm pretty much ready to get up in there and do. And I just really want to learn how to just call that defense. That's gonna be the biggest thing.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to ask you, basically the last question, man. Of course, getting the opportunity to play under Saban is something a lot of people would want to do. It's something that people consider a dream come true. The last question to end it here: what does it mean to you to know that you're going to play under a guy who is considered by many to be the greatest college football coach of all time?
And it's just special. Not a lot of people get the chance. It's a blessing. I thank God for just putting me in a position. And, man, I'm just going to take advantage of it. I'm going to take every rep seriously. And when he get on to me, I know it's just going to be because he want me to be the best player that I can be. He's already proven it with everybody that he has in the league. And, man, I just can't wait to be there.
I'm here now with Alabama's four-star offensive lineman. He will be actually a part of the team and practicing with the team by the time that this video comes out. Casey Poe, one of the top offensive linemen in the 2024 recruiting class, joining the Crimson Tide, joining an impressive offensive line under the Crimson Tide's offensive line coach Eric Wolford. What does it mean to you to know that you're at this stage where you are officially going to start practicing with the Crimson Tide on this weekend?
Yeah, it feels awesome. You know, it's a dream I've had since I was a little kid, being able to, you know, get into a collegiate practice and get to be a part of that team and that big brother and that big culture that they have. But really just what it means for me to come in early, it means that I can get in and get some extra practice time in, and also just, you know, learn the team, learn the coaches, learn the atmosphere, learn everything that, the guys coming later, they'll be able to pick up on quickly. The guys that are coming in later are going to have no problem with it. But I just feel like it gives me a little bit of a competitive edge over the people from other teams who sadly don't have the great coaches that we'll have available at Alabama. And I feel like I'm going to be able to get a kind of a jump start on them.
When you look at the other options that you had on the table, some of the top schools in the country who produce offensive linemen pretty well, some of just great schools across the country who were interested in bringing you in and part of that 2024 recruiting class. Just looking back at that, what was it about Alabama that separated them from the pack for you?
Yeah, like you said, I got recruited by a lot of different schools and a lot of different great coaches. I just put out a tweet a little while ago, but I'm super thankful with all those different opportunities that I have. Each and every one of those schools meant a lot to me in that they reached out and gave me an opportunity and they wanted to see me be successful. And I can never be grateful enough for that. But Alabama pulled ahead for me for the simple reason of I'll never be the best guy in the locker room. If I want to go do something great in the NFL, I can't get, content with being an average to good college offensive lineman. I need to go be great every single day so that at the end of the 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, it'll transfer over to the league.
When you look at your position on the offensive line, some of the things that make a great offensive lineman, size, versatility, to be able to play all different positions along that offensive front. In terms of just being an offensive lineman right now, what do you think you bring to the table, and what do you think are some of your strengths heading into Alabama on this weekend?
Yeah, like you said, versatility. It's I can really play anywhere that Coach Wolford needs me to play, which is I think is a great thing. That means if we have injuries, if we have someone who's just not stepping up, I'll be able to kind of be a plug-and-play guy wherever he needs. But besides that, I've had great coaching here at Lindale, my high school, for the past 4 years. We have a great culture, great mindset, and so I feel like I'll be able to bring a mindset that a lot of people aren't really able to have in high school, that kind of go in and get it done no matter what. We were never the biggest in Lindale. We were never really the fastest, more athletic, but we were always going to be able to find a way to get the job done. I feel like that's a big key thing I'm able to bring to Alabama.
And of course, you're coming in with the competitive group. You got guys like Will Sanders, you have Joseph, and of course, you guys are not done recruiting offensive linemen. You're hoping to bring in a guy or two to add to you guys' class. Just what are your thoughts about getting the opportunity to play with those guys, and just what's your relationship like with the guys in the same recruiting class as you?
Yeah, those guys are really special. I already feel like I'm a family, kind of a brotherhood with those guys. And like you said, there's some great players. I've watched all of their tape. I've seen what they've had to, show, and they're just great players. It's straight up what it is. They're dogs. They can go be me in the trenches. They're going to be able to get the job done. But like you said, we're going to go keep hunting. We're looking for Favor Edwin right now, trying to lock him up. I think he'll be making his decision sometime soon. So hopefully by the time this airs, he'll be in the Crimson. But, we'll see. We're going to keep hunting. But now that I'm kind of getting in the program and getting to practice and stuff, it's really going to be full speed ahead with those guys who are with me and that are coming early, the offensive line that you're talking about. And I couldn't ask for a better group of guys to come in with.
And you recently got a visit from Nick Saban, arguably the greatest college football coach of all time. Just what does it mean for you to get an opportunity to play with them, and what did it mean to you for him to come to your home and actually spend time around you and your family?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Going in knowing that I'm playing under the greatest college head coach of all time. We got Coach Saban, we got Coach Wolf, we have Wibb, we have the entire defensive staff. We got so many great names that are coaching under Coach Saban, and then Coach Saban himself. Tommy Reese, the OC, genius in college football right now, hands down. Just be able to come in and know that I'm going to be able to get shaped and molded by those guys. They're going to be able to bring me up and kind of make me into the player that they want is so exciting for me, because I know I have full trust they're going to do what's best for me, and they're going to know my strengths and my weaknesses. But like you said, for Coach Saban to come down and visit my house was awesome. I've been a Bama fan for a long time. I think that's kind of publicly known. But to have him sit in my house, talking to my family, just kind of swapping stories, it's a childhood dream. It's something I never really imagined would be plausible. But I'm so happy we got the opportunity to do that.
And of course, you're going to learn under that Crimson Tide's offensive line coach, Eric Wolford, who deserves a lot of credit because of the way that Alabama's offensive line transformed and got better and just continued to evolve as the season went forward with early struggles that they faced this past season. Just what are your thoughts about playing under him and playing with the guys at Alabama that are already on Alabama's offensive line and just getting an opportunity to play with guys like Tyler Booker and Caden Proctor in the future?
Yeah, I can't wait. I fully trust Coach Wolf. I think he's one of the greatest, not the greatest college offensive line coach there is. I mean, the passion that he brings to Alabama is unmatched by anybody else. Every single day he wakes up and he's just fired up to be an offensive line coach at Alabama. That's what he loves to do. He loves those guys in that room. They all love him back. It's a mutual respect, but it's also like almost like a father-son thing in a way, wherever, he's going to train them and they're going to look up to him as a kind of that father figure. But being able to play with guys like Proctor and them, I'm so excited. They're great. They're not only great humans, they're great players. They're the total package. And be able to learn into those guys for a season, and hopefully be able to go and play beside them in my years after that, I couldn't ask for better people to come in and be mentored by.
Bottom line about this group, and I got a couple things I'm going to read, is just things I feel like I need to share. One of the best groups I've been around, one of the most talented groups I've been around, just some of the best kids that I've been around. The way they interact with each other, the way they interact with teammates, they interact with the community. I can't count how many times I've got praise some to me about my players and a lot of these guys up here on the stage. Today we're gathered to see 9 senior sign letters of intent, some of the finest institutions in America. This life-changing opportunity has come from hours of hard work and sacrifice from these young men and their families. And we're so proud and grateful for all of them to have done this for our program. Your football class of 2023 has a 40-year record of 49-5. They're 2-time state champions, 2020, 2021, 6A champions, as well as 3-time region champions. This senior class continues the great tradition of intangibles that are the cornerstone of youth football, the ability to grab onto one another, to play with full effort from snap and whistle, and with poise and the class expected as a part of the youth football family. We congratulate this year's senior class and thank them for their contributions to our program as they continue to write their own legacy in glory lane and beyond glory lanes. And we know Coach Davis and Teddy, we want these guys to come back. We want to pour back into the guys that are going to play their position behind them, their numbers behind them, and they know how special it is when guys came back and talk to them, so I know they're going to come back and do the same. Before I start going through and announcing these kids, they're going to sign, their letter in front of them. After I finish talking about them, I do want to say a special thank you to the parents first off. Dropping guys off and feeding them and doing everything that we need them to do as a program and everything their kids need them to do since they were 6 years old, putting them on the helmet backwards and stuff like that. I want to say thank you to all of our parents. I have a special group this year, and I appreciate you guys standing together with me with these guys over the last 4 years. And also a special thank you to Coach Davis. No one understands the amount of work this man puts in for this day to happen, for these kids to have these opportunities. Countless hours, multiple cell phones, the phone calls in the middle of the night, everything that he does to help these kids get to where they get to. These parents will tell you about these kids and tell you he's a thankless guy in any situation, but he does a great job and he takes a lot of weight off of my shoulders to the head football coach of this program. So I want to say a special thank you to him, and also I want him to say a couple words about some things parents are here, some young kids, and just anybody, kids in 4th grade, right now, this thing is changing, and he's the expert in youth Georgia on what's going on with recruiting. So I think it's a couple words that he wants to say, and I think he needs to say that a lot of people need to hear. So Coach Davis. tell you guys it's a hard to stand every day. My head coach Brian and my staff, you know, just one of the young men that are starting today. You know, today's time, people, I get a lot of credit, but we have an amazing staff, Coach Carter and Coach Michael May, my mom, I cannot be there. And today's time, the transfer portal, you know, kind of work high school kids out. You know, we continue to box it out. You know, I told somebody today, I will continue to fight the portal as hard as I can. I'll continue to box every day to make sure that your kids have an opportunity to go to school. You know, it doesn't matter where it is, but the education for these young men to be able to pursue their career in the next 4 years. So understand this, young man, you got a special because of what's going on in college football right now. You know, and one thing about people in high school, we don't get no excuses. And I don't get any excuses about a kid not getting out of here. I might never tell a parent what the portal's doing. If I got a job to do, I'm going to work my tail off to make sure that you parents, you know, satisfied for what I can put on the table for your kids. And so that's what I tell you today's time. It's different, but you in high school, we'll continue to box, we'll continue to fight, and we're going to do what we have to do for the collegiate game. And so we won't get caught up. So, young man, thank you all so much. You know, thank you so much for everything you've done for me and allowing me to stand in front today. And thank Coach Wood, phenomenal AD, whoever he is in our program, Coach, you led this thing the right way. And I continue to follow his footsteps. Thank you so much. Right now. Like I said, I was just going to go down the road and start on my left and walk all the way down to the right, talk about each one of these players and where they will be signing their letter of intent today. First off, we have Dale Green. Dale Green, we signed a letter of intent to Western Carolina University in Caloe, North Carolina, which is between the valley between the beautiful Smoky Mountains and the Blue Ridge Mountains. Western Carolina is a public university that was created in 1889 to serve people living in the mountains of Western Carolina. It has 9,000 undergraduate students. Catamounts play in the Southern Conference in the football championship division of FCS. They're coached by former University of Florida great Colonel Bill and are coming off a 7-4 season. They play their home games at Bob Morris Field in Whitmire Stadium that seats around 14,000 fans. Dale was a 2-year starter on offensive line, mainly at right guard. He averaged around 86% blocking grade, around 30 big time blocks, as well as 30 knockdowns over his career. He was part of the offense that set records for rushing last year and passing this year. Dale was a true embodiment of AAA excellence, taking MP classes as well as being in chorus. Dale's positive attitude, work ethic, and athletic ability has served this team to achieve the success that they have had. Mr. Dale Green. Next, we have Martrice MJ Dillard, signed with Bowling Green University. Bowling Green University is located in Bowling Green, Ohio, just south of Toledo. Opened in 1914, Bowling Green is a public research university that has an enrollment of 20,000. Bowling Green is the NCAA Division I football program that competes in the Mid-American Conference. Scott Leffler is in his 5th season as head coach of the Falcons. Their home games are played at Deutsche Pierce Stadium. Martrice is the son of Martrice Sr. and Malika Dillard. His stats on the field and contributions were hampered a little bit by several injuries. However, that never hindered his leadership and positive attitudes leading his teammates. Great job, MJ. Proud of you. He goes on to join Elijah Williams and Aiden Wilson, even on long man board from years ago. He's a 4 signing over the last 4 or 5 years in our program in Bowling Green. MJ Dillon. Next, we have Jeremiah Colbert, signed with Jacksonville State University. Located in the northwest Alabama town of Jacksonville, Alabama. It was founded in 1883 as a teacher's college and now has 6 academic schools offering everything from undergraduate up to a doctoral degree. Jacksonville State is a recent addition to the NCAA football fall division as a conference member of the Conference USA. They are coming off an outstanding season that resulted in the first bowl win in school history as they defeated Louisiana in the New Orleans Bowl this past Saturday. Their mascot is the Gamecocks, and they are coached by Rich Rodriguez, former West Virginia and Michigan head coach. They play their home games in 24,000 seat capacity, Burgess Snow Field. Jeremiah is joined by He has been blessed with superior speed that led to a kickoff return touchdown as well as a long touchdown reception. He made our offensive special teams harder to defend just by his presence on the field. Jeremiah has also excelled in track running the 10.75 and the 100-meter dash. We're going to get that down to the 10.5, right? 5-1, I'm sorry. Let's go Gilbert. You need 10.5-1 is my fault, Jeremiah. I'm sorry. All right. But proud of Jeremiah when he brought this program. Just looking forward to what you can do at the next level. Jeremiah Cole. Next, we have Mr. Jalen Neal. His mom dressed him today. He's ready to Jalen signed with 11-10 to Florida A&M University, FAMU, as most people know him as. Florida A&M is a public land grant historically black university. It is the third largest HBCU in the country. It is located in Tallahassee, Florida, and was founded in 1887. It currently serves 10,000 undergraduate students. FAMU's athletics are known as their mascot rivals and participating in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, or SWAC, which is in the NCAA Football Championship Division. Subdivision, I'm sorry. Their home games are played in 20,000-seat Bragg Stadium. They are coached by Willie Simmons and won 11-1 this past year, earning the SWAC championship this year, as well as a Black College National Championship, defeating Howard in Mercedes-Benz Dome this past Saturday. Jalen is the son of Nicky Cook. Jalen's career for the Wolves as a running back and a corner, he has been a valuable contributor that had a skill set of physicality, speed, and ball skills. Jalen grew steadily throughout his career and emerged as someone who can be depended on in practice and in games to help our team be successful. Jalen has shown he has all the skills to be successful at the next level, and there is no doubt that arrows pointing up for his future at FAMU. Congratulations, Jalen. Next, Mr. Kobe Blackwell. Kobe Blackwell will be signed with 11-10 to attend State University of New York at Buffalo in Buffalo, New York. Buffalo is a large research-based university focusing largely on medical education. It is one of the 2 flagship public universities in New York. It serves around 22,000 students. The Bulls play in the Mid-Atlantic Conference with MAC and are in the football bowl subdivision. And they are coached by Maurice Mo Linguist. They defeated Georgia Southern in the Camellia Bowl last year. Kobe is the son of Gina Ramos and Emmanuel Blackwell. Kobe has had a productive career as a two-way player at cornerback and running back. Offensively, he was a multiple threat, as well as at both running back and receiver, and receiving balls out of the backfield. Defensively, competed successfully against any of our opponents' top receivers. He was one of the 2 players in our program to have a touchdown rushing and receiving, as well as an interception. Kobe has taken every challenge that has come his way and will continue to excel at the next level. His abilities and athleticism continue to grow and will no doubt serve him well as he takes the next steps in his career. Congratulations, Kobe. Next, we have Tasha White. Ty White will be signed with 11-10 to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Located in the Research Triangle in central North Carolina, UNC is a public research university that is the flagship of the North Carolina University system. Their enrollment is around 20,000 undergraduates and has a prestigious academic reputation and is not the easiest school to get into. Tar Heels are one of the most recognizable logos, even it has its own color. They are in the NCAA football bowl subdivision that is charter member of the Atlantic Coast Conference. It is coached by legendary national champion Coach Mac Martin. Ty's parents are Andrew Carter and Mark White. Ty has been a 3-year starter and played a lot as a freshman for us, even getting some playing time early on in his career. He is a multifaceted player that has played safety, receiver, kick returner, even probably an emergency quarterback for us at times. Ty had over 40 receptions for his career and was a consistent threat all over the field on our offense. On defense, he showed instinct and command of our advanced schemes that help him get the defense lined up and be in the best place to make plays. At the same time, he brought a superior physicality to stop and run. Tyler will go down as one of the most skilled players to ever play here, but most importantly, he never had a bad day. He consistently has a smile on his face and exudes confidence and positivity to make a difference around his teammates, around his peers, and around his school. Congratulations, Tyler. Next, Dylan Rowell. Dylan was signed on letter of intent with the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, Nebraska. Nebraska is the state's oldest academic institution, founded in 1869. It served around 24,000 students. It is a highly respected institution for academic research. Their teams are known as the Cornhuskers and play in Memorial Stadium at Tom Oswald Field that seats 85,000 people. The Cornhuskers are considered college football royalty, playing 9 national championships, 46 conference titles, and 3 Heisman Trophy winners. They currently play in the Big Ten Conference and are coached by Matt Rule. Dylan has a son, Dominic and Von Raiola. Dylan's playing career and season as a quarterback at Hoover High School has been second to few who have ever played the game. His skills as a quarterback are evident by anyone who sees him play, which led him to set every passing record in school history. 2,118 passing yards, 63% completion percentage, 34 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But what sets him apart is his work ethic, mind for the game, his character, his love for his team, and most of all, his family. We could list all of his accolades and praise from the football world, but Dylan is an outstanding young man who cares deeply about others as well as his faith. There's no doubt that Dylan Rowell will make a difference to those around him, whether it be on or off the football field. Mr. Dylan Rowell. Next, Andrew Houston, son of the Ohio State University. Ohio State is the largest public research university that has 50,000 undergraduate students and is located in Columbus, Ohio. The Buckeyes are a charter member of the Big Ten Conference as well as the NCAA Football Bowl Subdivision. They have 8 national titles and 41 conference titles. They are coached by Ryan Day and are yearly contenders for conference and national titles. They play their home games at the legendary Horseshoe that seats 102,000 fans. Edric's parents are Sullivan Leslie and Peter Moon. Edric leaves a legacy as a 3-year starter on the defensive line and a tremendously disruptive force. He consistently made opponents run away from his side, greatly benefited the stats of his teammates. In spite of that, Edric is one of the top sack artists in school history with 21 over his career, as well as a great kick blocker with 5 over his career. That might lead to Dixon. Pretty sure it's the most of history. Honestly, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure it is. Besides all this, if you ask anyone in the community, Edric is probably one of the most beloved players that has ever been a part of our program. Young and old, teacher, athlete, Edric is embraced by all and takes time to encourage all. His kind heart and friendly demeanor has made such an impact here and will continue to be an integral part of the community up in Columbus. Edric Houston. Last but not least, KJ will be signing a letter of intent to play at the University of Georgia. UGA is located in Athens and is the oldest public university in the country, opening in 1789. It is a well-respected research university that has 30,000 undergraduate students and is the flagship institution of the Georgia University system. The Bulldogs are an NCAA Bowl Subdivision school that competes in the SEC. They play their home games at one of the largest on-campus stadiums in the country, Sanford Stadium at Dooley Field, and are coached by 2-time national championship coach Kirby Smart. KJ's parents are Lakeisha and Kyle Odum. KJ leads our program with some really large shoes to fill to the tremendous accomplishments that he leaves behind. He's a 2-year, two-way starter, safety and receiver and kick returner. The highlight of his career will go down as one of the most unique accomplishments in our school's prestigious history. No one's ever done this before. I'm not sure anybody's ever done this before in the state of Georgia. 4 touchdowns in the game, 4 different ways: kickoff return, rushing, receiving, and interception. And the kickoff return, I believe, and the interception happened within like 35 or 40 seconds of each other. So it was like, it was amazing what happened in those couple minutes when we were recruiting tonight. His catch to the touchdown ratio was almost as impressive: 27 catches and 17 receiving touchdowns. He was a 3-day run on the field. On top of all that, KJ grew and matured as a leader as much as any senior we've ever had. KJ came a long way from when he was a freshman, and he'll tell a lot of you guys that the stuff that he thought he knew at that time, and the person he grew into was probably somebody he couldn't see at this moment. But we're just proud of what he did and how he feels that. That makes the legacy of him in this class even longer. KJ will be a joy to watch for the coming years as he continues to grow and compete at the highest level possible. Mr. KJ Bama. All right, now we're done with our this part of the program. I know we have tables outside for the kids if they want. Parents want to decorate those tables so they can take pictures. We also have them up here for a second to take a couple pictures with the coaches first, parents second. I know we have a bunch of people.
Yo, we're back on live National Signing Day coverage. I know a lot of you Alabama fans wanted to check out Edric Houston, and just in case he flipped his commitment to Alabama, it looks as if the 5-star defensive lineman is staying with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Even the Crimson Tide with their defensive lineman commits or now signees with Jeremiah Beaman, Isaiah Faga. You also have Steve and Bamar, who are a good collection of defensive linemen here in this 2024 recruiting class for the Crimson Tide. This is not the only flip target for the Crimson Tide. On today, the Crimson Tide are also looking at Kevin Riley, a 4-star running back out of Tuscaloosa County High School, who set to announce his decision at 1 p.m. We will go to Tuscaloosa County High School to get you guys a live feed on that as well. But we will also continue to break down the Crimson Tide's 2024 recruiting class as more guys have signed to the Crimson Tide, officially going from commits to signing, including signees, including Jeremiah Beaman.
Let's go, Beaman!
4-star defensive lineman out of Parker High School in Birmingham, Alabama. Another loyal Bama commit who's just stayed committed to the Crimson Tide despite visiting other schools, hearing from other schools like Colorado, like Auburn. And I like what Beaman brings to the table from an athletic perspective and just from a dominant physical perspective. In a way that this kid works, you're not going to find a guy who works harder than Jeremiah Beaman.
The fact that he not only stayed loyal to Alabama in terms of the recruitment process, but he also stayed loyal to his trainer, Coach Leonard Stevens, Coach L, step-by-step performance out of Birmingham. Stevens raves about Beaman's work ethic, his drive, his hunger, his motor to want to be better, to continue to be better. This is blue collar Alabama recruit right here.
Yeah, while we're talking about Beaman, I think we have breaking news right now for the Crimson Tide. I know you were looking for breaking news. The Crimson Tide have flipped 4-star wide receiver Aaron Hampton from Texas. So the Crimson Tide have pulled out a flip in this hour as Aaron Hampton, 4-star wide receiver from Texas, has decided to flip his commitment from the Texas Longhorns to the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Nick Saban takes one from Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah, Hampton, like I said, was verbally committed to Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns. The Crimson Tide stayed in contact with them and have flipped the verbal commitment from the 4-star wide receiver athlete from the state of Texas. He's a guy who had the potential to play on either side of the football at the next level, at defensive back or a wide receiver. Looks if he come to Tuscaloosa to play wide receiver.
So Justin, what is the possibility that if Hampton did come on campus for a visit, what is the possibility that Nick Saban put on tape of Jalen Waddle, young man from Episcopal High School in Houston, Texas, during his recruitment and said, hey, Waddle came from Texas to Alabama, why not you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that had a lot to do with it. And just look at the way that Alabama uses their wide receivers and the potential that Alabama has at wide receiver in the future. And Hampton is going to be a guy who Alabama is lucky to have as we continue to move forward in this 2024 recruiting class, which I think he's going to line up at wide receiver for the Crimson Tide. And now you look at that wide receiver class. You have Rico Scott, you have Jefferson, and now you have Aaron Hampton.
Very good class. So also keep in mind the last year's class, Alabama got Jalen Hale from Longview, Texas. So to get Aaron Hampton, flipping him from the Longhorns, and Steve Sarkisian, big job there from Holman Wiggins.
Yeah, for sure. This is another good get for the Crimson Tide in this 2024 recruiting class. Aaron Hampton flipping his commitment from the Texas Longhorns to the Crimson Tide. We will take a very quick break. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about Hampton and some other guys who just became Alabama signees. Four-star defensive lineman commit Jeremiah Bama. You would be signed by the time this video comes out, though. Going back to your decision to commit to Alabama, what separated them for you?
Me personally, it's just the relationship with bond. I built it with the people up there, not even the coaches, just the players and the atmosphere from the fans, and just that home presence I felt when I was there.
And with you, are you enrolling early?
Yes.
With you enrolling early, what do you think that benefits you? How do you think that benefits you?
It definitely benefits me a lot. You know, I get up there and get stronger, start practicing. Hopefully, I can start playing early, like just getting up there, learning the playbook, doing the fundamental stuff right, just doing little stuff that get me on the field as much as I can.
And as far as your relationship with other guys who are already at Alabama, what has their message been to you as far as you joining their fraternity?
Let's be great. Let's go get it. Let's win. Like I feel like when I come where we're definitely going to be enhanced team. You know, just me, I know my work ethic, and I know the things I can do to push others, and others pushing me. I love just helping each other.
And as far as some of the parts of your game, what do you feel like your strengths heading into Alabama? What are some of the things that you definitely want to continue to work on?
Working on bending, setting the edge, it being explosive, striking out my hips, just a lot of things that a D lineman should know how to do, and you be like want to make that like expert teeth, like just being great at doing the little stuff, because that's what's really gonna get you on the field, or just playing early, like technique, knowing what to do, when to do it, like different things.
And of course, Freddie Roach was valuable when Alabama's push for you. What does it mean to you to have an opportunity to play under him?
It means a lot. You know, Coach Roach is like another father from home. You know, he's hopefully in the next future, he's gonna be a wonderful mentor to me. Like he's somebody I definitely look up to.
And of course, Coach Hill has also been very valuable to you over the last couple of years, helped train you, being a mentor as well. What is your relationship like with him, and how valuable is he to you?
Coach Hill is definitely my mentor, but I say he's definitely family, because we've been around each other so much, and built a bond to where that bond is unbreakable. It doesn't matter who tries to come in between or what happens. I know at the end of the day, he's gonna have my back no matter what, and it's in any situation.
And as far as you guys at Parker, of course, your season didn't end like you wanted it to, but it still was a great football season. Yeah. What do you remember about that senior season and just the impact Parker High School had on you?
First, I'll just like tell my coaches and all the people that had a part to play in my recruitment, and just being around me and pushing me to be better in school as well as on the field. I just want to say to them thank you. And to my coaches, I just want to say I appreciate all of them for pushing me and just putting time and effort into me, because, you know, they could have been at home with their families and doing different other things, but they decided to stay there and help not only me, but my teammates increase our game, because, you know, there's a lot of us going to the next level on that team. So I just want to say thank you. You know, it's just a different type of leadership role there that you have to be on that team. Like, the standard is the standard. It changes for nobody, not even me, myself, not even for anybody else on that team that has offers a highly ranked. The standard is the standard, and that's what I like most about them.
Yeah, and of course, you're going to Alabama where the standard is going to be really high, but you're going to go in there with guys that you have a relationship with in terms of the guys inside your recruiting class, including Jalen Bachway. You got an opportunity to play with some of your future teammates in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. What are your thoughts about the guys who are coming in with you in this 2024 recruiting class?
I definitely love the class I'm coming in with. The guys, I feel like the guys that was at the game with me, that I built a bond with, that's going to Alabama, it's definitely a brotherhood. It's going to be a brotherhood. Like Jalen, we go back a long ways, but me just actually sitting down and talking to Dre and different other guys, like it's definitely going to be a familyhood. Like that, I love it.
And last question I want to ask you, just what does the opportunity to play for Saban mean to you?
It means a lot. It was like a dream, because I grew up watching Nick Saban and seeing Alabama win all these championships, and now going to be a part of that would be like a dream come true, definitely.
Kirkpatrick, DB, going to Alabama, enrolling today. It was fun to play out here with my future teammates, Jalen, Jeremiah Beaman, William. It was good. It was a good atmosphere out here. It was fun.
As far as you committing to Alabama, what was it about them that made you feel that was the right place for you?
I got to continue the legacy. I got to keep my name rolling, man. Keep the dynasty going. They're gonna get me to the league. They're gonna make me a better person.
And today you showed basically one of the biggest parts of your game that makes you so special, at least right now. Your ability to just go get the football, look as if you were like a football magnet. What do you think about that part of your game and how it helps you? And just what do you think are strengths of your game heading into Alabama?
Just good instincts, man. Just a ball hawk, man. I just want the ball because when I was young, I played offense. Now I'm on defense. I got to go get the ball.
And what has Alabama's message been to you in terms of how they want to play you inside of that secondary?
Just trust the process, man. I'm going in on a good time. It's a great time for me to be going in. Just trust the process. Make sure I develop. Stick to the plan. We're going to make it. her patches, DB, going to Alabama, enrolling today. It was fun to play out here with my future teammates, Jalen, Jeremiah Beeman, William. It was good. It was a good atmosphere out here. It was fun.
As far as you committing to Alabama, what was it about them that made you feel that it was the right place for you?
I got to continue the legacy. I got to keep my name rolling, man. Keep the dynasty going. They're gonna get me to the league. They're gonna make me a better person.
It's a day you show basically one of the biggest parts of your game that makes you so special, at least right now. Your ability to just go get the football, look as if you were like a football magnet. What do you think about that part of your game and how it helps you, and just what do you think are strengths of your game heading into Alabama?
Just good instincts, man. Just a ball hawk, man. I just want the ball because when I was young, I played offense. Now I'm on defense. I got to go get the ball.
And what has Alabama's message been to you in terms of how they want to play you inside of that secondary?
Just trust the process, man. I'm going in on a good time. It's a great time for me to be going in. Just trust the process. Make sure I develop. Stick to the plan. We're going to make it.
Good, Coach.
Okay, good. Well, what about that Sterling Dixon kid?
What about that? Shoot.
Hit him Sterling. Who? Sterling. I'm just took mine in.
What's up, y'all? What's up, Coach? Thanks for the offer. What you got on my commitment, homie?
Man, I thought you already had a top 3.
I do, but I want to commit to this school.
We full.
Give it up, Coach.
Man, come on, Sterling. Stall him out.
So what you got on my commitment, homie?
Don't want no spot, so.
Yeah, you got some.
Man, why you tripping, Sterling?
Shut up before I knock you out.
Man, that's messed up. What about the other linebacker, Sterling?
What linebackers?
Yeah. What linebackers?
Hey, man, why y'all ain't help me?
Hey, man, I coach quarterbacks, dog.
I would like to thank God, my family, my coaches, and my teammates for pushing me every single day to be the best teammate and player that I can be. And for the next 3 to 4 years, I would like to take my talents to the University of Alabama.
I'ma take mine like Depot. I'm on 100 y'all see what y'all. Put the fam on, I'm a hero. Man, look play with me though. See ya, be get ready. Roll Tide, I'm ready. Sterling Dixon, he ready. 2024, let's get it. I'ma take mine like Depot. I'm on 100 y'all see what y'all. Put the fam on, I'm a hero. Man, look play with me though. See ya, be get ready. Roll Tide, I'm ready. Sterling Dixon, he ready. 2024, let's get it.
In life, nothing is given. It must be earned. And I'm coming to take what's mine. Roll Tide.
Going back to your decision to commit to Alabama in the first place, what was it about the Crimson Tide that just separated them from the pack after you receiving the offer from them after camping and picking up that offer?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first thing, just the opportunity to get developed and win football games. But another big thing for me, I don't know, that not a lot of people looking from the outside in would really know is just the family aspect there, just the way I was recruited, the way they welcomed me, and just the community at Alabama that have the ability to join is just something that's really special and really attracted me.
Yeah, and speaking of the offensive line, of course, the Crimson Tide have had some great offensive linemen play for them. They have a offensive line that has grown a lot this season. A lot of credit can be thrown to their offensive line coach, Eric Wolford, as he continues to show great signs of early development during his first couple years in Tuscaloosa. What role did having an opportunity to play under Coach Wolford play in your decision?
Yeah, that was huge. I definitely think Coach Wolf's the best offensive line coach in the nation, and not only he's such a great person, but obviously such a great coach. Just really, really like a father figure to the whole offensive line, and he's going to jump you when you need to get jumps, but he's going to love you up hard too. So I mean, definitely just the way he coaches and his ability to develop offensive linemen really stuck out to me.
And of course, with you getting coached under Eric Wolford, which also means you're going to get coached under Nick Saban. What is your thoughts on Saban with him being arguably the greatest coach of all time in college football? You can say he's one of the greatest coaches just ever in sports when you talk about what he has accomplished. What are your thoughts about him, and just what does an opportunity to play for him mean to you?
Yeah, I'm so honored to have the opportunity to play for Coach Saban. It's still such a surreal experience getting to play for the GOAT. Just the opportunity to learn from him, hear knowledge from him, and just see how he conducts his business is just at such a different level than everyone else. And he really has created the standard, and other schools try to copy it and replicate it, but I think we've seen that it really can't be done.
And when you watch your film, man, there's a lot that stands out. I mean, when I first turned on your film, I think it was the junior film, and one of the first things stood out was you going up against your future teammate down in Keon Keeley and have an opportunity to show just what you could do against a guy who at that level, which is going to be the type of guys that you play against once you get to the next level and play collegiate football. What do you think are some of your strengths heading into your career at Alabama? What are some of the things you think you really want to work on moving forward?
Yeah, I think a huge strength of mine is just my aggression and my grit on the football field. Just playing through the whistle and really trying to finish that defensive lineman. And I'm also pretty sound in my pass protection. I trust my technique, and I really think I'm an aggressive player who knows how to play not passive, but know how to control my aggression in pass protection. And then something I'm looking to improve on is probably just continuing to gain size strength and just continuing to really become the best athlete I can be, and just continue to rise my draft stock.
The last question I wanted to ask you, man, was as far as you going to Alabama. Of course, you have so many great things they're going to be available to you once you become a student and become a football player for Alabama football and everything. Just what are some of your goals individually heading into this next part of your life and your part of your football journey? Just what are some of the goals that you have in mind for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'd love to win a national championship, and I think this group at Alabama that I'll have the opportunity to play with definitely has a pretty high percentage chance to win the national championship multiple times while I'm there. And I think a good team goal for the offensive line also would be setting our eyes on a Joe Moore Award. I definitely think that's very capable of the group it's already at Alabama and the group that's coming in. So it's gonna be really exciting to see how we develop and mesh together and hopefully win at least one Joe Moore.
I'm excited about his future, excited about what's ahead of him. And I would say this, and we've had this talk, Kevin, at the end of this season, I gave you a bunch of examples of players that play for you, right, Kevin?
Yes, sir.
All right, and talked to you about, and most of them have been successful because they've done two things. They've shown up and they've taken advantage of the opportunities people put in front of them. Whether it's when you go to school, whether it's a tutor that's going to help you, they take advantage of it. Whether it's an extra a session to go to a class, they take advantage of it. Whether the strength coach says there's extra work, they show up, right? Every time there's an opportunity to help yourself, the guys that are successful take advantage of those opportunities, right? And so my point moving forward, man, is to show up and do the work. When you do those two things, man, good things happen. Okay, you've got great ability, you've got a great heart, you got the prettiest smile on campus, right? You probably have the prettiest smile on Alabama's campus too. So don't let that ruin you. They're going to ruin you too, right? But congratulations, I'm excited for you, and I want you to say a few words for you, Simon, okay?
I would like to thank everybody for coming out. You know, it's been a good journey. You know, it's been a long journey taken. It took a lot of hard work to get into this position that I'm in now, and I wouldn't be able to do it without, you know, my teammates that's in the crowd, the teachers and staff members that's in the crowd. You know, they helped me come a long way into this point in my life, and, you know, especially the people that's standing next to me, my little brother, my mom, my older brother, and, you know, my auntie and my cousin in the crowd, my other cousin. You know, shout out to them because they're a big part of my family too and in my life. But yeah. So, like, you know, today I like to be taking my talents to University of Alabama. Oops, got the sign. I'm sorry. God, put it on.
I can take this on now.
I can't talk, I'm a cry.
I can't, I'm a cry.
You guys, if your families come up and take pictures, y'all come on up, and we're going to hang out here as long as everybody wants to hang out, but that honestly kind of concludes the fast signing ceremony. This is really the time, this is for fellowship. And there's a reception area with some food and some tasty items. So you guys enjoy the fellowship today. Merry Christmas.
Look at Jason.
Saban does it again in terms of another flip target, choosing the Crimson Tide. This is four-star running back Kevin Riley, who was committed to Miami, plays at Northport High School, plays at Tuscaloosa County High School. Originally committed to Miami, Kevin Riley, four-star running back, has flipped to the Crimson Tide. So Alabama taking one from the ACC program, the Miami Hurricanes. And Justin, you and I talked about it earlier. This young man has speed, game-changing quickness, game-changing explosiveness. When he hits the hole, this young brother is gone. You're not going to catch a speeding bullet. And he's got that type of speed, but also power to put with that. So, Alabama, I remember 2014, it got an in-state guy in Bo Scarborough from Northridge High School in Northport across the bridge from Tuscaloosa. 2017, it got an in-state running back in Brian Robinson Jr. from Hillcrest High School in Tuscaloosa. And so now it picks up Kevin Riley, four-star from Tuscaloosa County High School, flipping from Miami to Alabama. So another big one in the room with Robert Gillespie. This is huge, Justin.
Yeah, for sure. When you look at Riley, like I said, one of the more explosive running backs in the country in the 2024 recruiting class. When you take a look at how explosive he is, when you watch his film, how quickly he accelerates and get to the top speed and explodes and hits the hole. That's what separates him as a running back here for the Crimson Tide. So the Crimson Tide were able to flip two offensive guys in Aaron Hampton and Kevin Riley on today to complete their 2024 recruiting class. And I think when you take a look at Alabama's running back room, like I said, I felt they were going to struggle in this 2024 recruiting class with getting a running back because they signed Justice Haynes and Richard Young in his last class. You needed a guy who was going to come in and not be afraid of competition. Look as if Kevin Riley is taking that challenge on and staying home and being able to play for the University of Alabama as a Tuscaloosa area kid.
I think to flip two of these guys, because you went in wondering, could you flip all five? Or could you flip 4 out of 5? But it needs to get 2. That's a strong sign there. So you were able to get Aaron Hampton and you were able to get Kevin Riley. So if you're Coach Saban, if you're the staff, as much as you would have liked to have gotten Houston or some of these other guys that were flip targets out there, to end your day with at least getting 2 flipped over, you're happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, it's not the end of the day for the Crimson Tide entirely. Of course, they are favored when a 4-star offensive lineman they're looking at. I was going to look at the ball, the 4-star athlete who was once committed to Arkansas. So the Crimson Tide picking up Riley, like I said, this is a huge hit because Riley is a special running back. Like I said, he is explosive as they come, runs under control, runs with great vision, a guy who can be physical. He's a guy who's just continuing to grow in terms of him catching the football out of the backfield, out of Tuscaloosa County. I've had an opportunity to see him train with all gas training on several occasions, saw him play 7-on-7 and having studied his film for a little bit as well. So Kevin Riley, massive get for the Crimson Tide. Massive flip to keep him home, keep him from going to Miami, who held on to his commitment for quite some time ahead of today.
I want to say this. I wonder how much did LaRon McClain have in Kevin Riley potentially flipping as he's flipped now. Remember, LaRon McClain, former Alabama running back, he played his high school ball at T County High. LaRon McClain is an alumnus of Tuscaloosa County High School. So I wonder how much of a factor did McClain play into maybe talking to this young man, convincing him maybe, stay at home, stay instead of Alabama, and go to the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. So my thought process is, how much of an impact did LaRon McClain probably play in this?
Yeah, I think when you look at Riley, I think he has looked up to a lot of guys from the Tuscaloosa area. Like you said, he knows that it is special to have an opportunity to play for Alabama if you are a Tuscaloosa area kid. Like it doesn't happen as much as some people may think it does happen, because you see a guy like Bo, you see a guy like Brian Robinson, running backs from the Tuscaloosa area who have had that opportunity, but it doesn't come around every single day for every kid.
So remember, I know. Did Quinshon Judkins come from Alabama too?
Yeah, Quinshon Judkins is a product of Pike. He went to Pike Road High School.
But he ended up going to Ole Miss. So it's like you mentioned, not every in-state guy gets that chance to really play for the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. So when that time comes, or when that moment arises, it's very special. So gonna be fun to watch and see what Kevin Riley does for the Crimson Tide. How quickly can he get on the field? What type of role could he see himself involved in?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like I said, this is a good get. Rounding out today, of course, Rodarius Morgan. We talked about him earlier. He has officially signed with the Crimson Tide as well. So when you look at Alabama's recruiting board here, their commitment board here, live on the screen here, you see the Crimson Tide were able to get signatures from some of their top commits already. Still waiting on guys like, of course, Jay Shun Ross, Ryan Williams, who's going to stay committed, Quentin Reese, who are going to hold off most likely to February. But you have a good amount of these guys who have already signed to the Crimson Tide. We are going to talk about Ryan here on the other side of another short break here. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back in. I am Justin Smith, the Director of Recruiting for Touchdown Alabama. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on our YouTube channel. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Subscribe to the notification bell, be notified when we drop content on our YouTube channel. Back into the film room, back here to break down some of the Crimson Tide's top 2024 targets. Today we're taking a look at 4-star running back Kevin Riley out of Tuscaloosa County High School in Northport, Alabama. One of the top running backs inside the state and also one of the top running backs in the country. The Crimson Tide have offered him, and the Crimson Tide are expected to be one of the top schools in this recruitment. He currently stands at 5'11", 6 foot, weighs approximately 190 pounds. Let's take a look at Riley because he's a prospect to know. When you take a look at his film, you're going to be really impressed with what he brings to the table. We're going to see him as the running back here on this first play. Of course, we have John Ivory rolling the film. We get everything rolling for us today. Let's see Riley get it, and he's going to explode. He's going to explode, man. That is the simplest way that I could describe that first play. We're going to rewind that play again and show it up once again. He's going to work through here, see the opening, and he's going to explode. Look, if he saw the hole open, hit another gear, and he exploded through the hole. So this is a guy who hits the hole really hard, really explosive, quick burst, quick acceleration, seems to get to that top speed really, really quickly. He's going to basically get the ball outside here, going to work up the field. Boom, boom, explode. Seems if he hits a second gear, he looks as if he hits another gear when he gets into the open field. We're gonna go to the beginning of that one as well. You see him being patient as he works through things here. When he gets the football, patient, let his block set up. Patient. Boom, 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 boom. Another gear. Explodes to the open field. 5'11", 190 pounds. Great frame, great size, great length. Checks the box when it comes to size, but that explosiveness and that speed and that ability to basically just outrun people and also be a guy who is not going to go down easily. It is easy to see why just by looking at the first couple plays why he's one of the top running backs in the country. So we're going to see him catch the football out of the backfield here. Had to go down to the ground to get that one. See if we can catch the football out of the backfield for Tuscaloosa County. Get the football once again. Be patient. Yeah, you're not going to catch him. When he gets in the open field, he's not going to get caught. He's not going to get caught when he gets into the open field with that type of speed. So we know this guy has a lot of speed, but he's also a physical runner, as we're going to see a little bit later in his film. Like I said, I really like that patience. That patience is really, really impressive as well. His ability to just sift through traffic and everything, and once he gets to the open field, seems to hit another gear. So this is the physicality that I was talking about. You better bring your arms. You better bring your arms, man. You better bring your pads in your arms, man. They were trying to arm tackle him. Go back to that play. You can't arm tackle that guy. You can't arm tackle this kid. You got to bring your pads, man. I see a whole bunch of arm tackling here. Arm tackling is not going to work. Arm tackling is not. You got to bring your pads. You got to bring your pads. You see the physicality that he runs with right there. Playing running back once again. So we're seeing some more of his physical runs right there. He's a guy who's playing against 7A programs. Of course, he's gets real trust with high school. I know that for a fact. Now, Alabama commit is on that defense right there. We can go to the beginning of that play. Alabama's 4-star signing, Hunter Osborne, is on that defense right there. But Kevin Riley's going to work through. He's going to get stopped up. He's going to get back to the outside. Like I said, no one's going to catch him when he gets into the open field. I think that's Ricky Gibson who was trying to catch him. Go back to the beginning. Go back to that play. I actually got to break it down a little bit more. We can stop right here. But like I said, he's playing against 7A schools. So he's playing against Trussville High School. I think number 6 at the bottom of the screen is Ricky Gibson, who reportedly runs a 4.3 for the Huskies. He almost caught Kevin Riley, but you can see Riley's speed on this play here. Like I said, number 6, who's going to chase Riley on this play, reportedly runs a 4.3. So we get to play rolling back now, John. So we're going to see Riley gets up the field. Like I said, number 6 is going to be close to getting. Like I said, he's a 4-3 guy. But Riley rolls in and gets the touchdown for Tuscaloosa County. We got a screenplay here. Riley's going to get it in. Like I said, that explosiveness. Gets up the field with these. Running back long, running back in the backfield. He's also quick, man. I think that's something else. He's really quick. Ooh, gotta run that play. Yeah, he's really quick. We can run that last play too. He's really quick as well. I think that's something else to know. He's quick and fast. If you get what I'm saying, like he's elusive in tight quarters, so he's able to make some nice moves with his footwork. But like I said, once he gets into the open field, still hits that gear. And like I said, you're trying to arm tackle this guy, you're not going to be able to arm tackle him. You're going to have to bring your pass. Whew. Woo! He's just running over people right now. The last play right here. I really like this kid's patience as well when he's running behind his blockers. Lets his blocks set up. Really impressed with that when it comes to a high school running back. He's also a guy who can run behind his pads. You see him running over people. Arm tackling is not going to work. You're going to need that type of physicality, that type of toughness to be a running back at the Power 5 football level, especially in the SEC. The thing I'm most impressed with is that speed, that acceleration, that quick burst that he seems to get to when he gets into the open field, that second gear that he seems to hit when he gets into the open field. So he's really quick, really elusive in tight quarters as well. I think he has the full package. He can catch the football out of the backfield. Of course, he's going to be considering a lot of different programs before he announces a commitment in the future. Northport, Alabama, Tuscaloosa County High School, so it is no secret that he's right around the corner from the University of Alabama. So we'll see how that plays out as Crimson Tide will look to go after him and many other running backs in this 2024 recruiting class. I expect Raleigh to be right there at the top of their board. But as always, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Before you leave, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well. If you're already one of our loyal subscribers, be sure to hit the notification bell to be notified when we drop content on our YouTube channel. As always, I am Justin Smith, the Director of Recruiting for Touchdown Alabama. Here now with Alabama's
Most
four-star
definitely.
linebacker, Sonny Sterling Dixon. By the time this video comes out, part of our signing day coverage, he will be already part of the Crimson Tide. I'm already a member of their football team as they prepare for their upcoming bowl game against the Michigan Wolverines. Sterling, this has been an interesting journey, especially me covering you and just watching your whole recruitment journey from the very, very early stages. What does it mean to you now? The moment for you to actually join the Crimson Tide is literally right in front of you.
This is everything I dreamed of. This is what I thank God for. It's what me and my family work for. Man, and it's here now. It's time for me to get to work and just try to pursue my dreams. I want to be a freshman All-American. I want to win a national championship, and I want to get to the NFL. So I'm laser focused right now, and that's the biggest thing.
And of course, you had a very interesting senior year. Of course, you battled a injury to your shoulder, but before anyone could talk much about the injury, you were back on the field trying to contribute for Spanish Fort. What do you think you learned from that experience, and how is that particular situation impacting you enrolling at Alabama at the moment?
So with the shoulder situation, I had a torn label. I really just wanted to finish my senior season and make sure I finished strong. I wanted to just try to get a state championship before it was all said and done. So I just really toughed through it, and honestly, I just decided to have surgery as soon as possible. So as soon as the season ended, I wound up getting surgery, and now I'm just going during the bowl week. I'm pretty much just gonna watch and honestly just learn. I just even though I'm not gonna be on the field, I feel like if I just watch what they're doing, talk to the coaches, meet with the coaches, it's just gonna help me out in the long run. So in the spring, I'm gonna be ahead of the guys that haven't been there. So I'm just ready.
And another thing that's really interesting for you is that your former teammate is already a leader on Alabama's defense, a visual leader. When you look at Alabama on Saturday, you could tell that Deontay Lawson is one of those leaders on the defensive side of the football. Just what have your conversation with him been like, and what does it mean to just get an opportunity to play with him once again?
He just told me, he like, man, he's like, I'm finna give you everything that I got and everything I learned, so you can pretty much be in the same situation I was in. So I know that's a guy that I'm gonna stay under, learn from, and it's gonna be a fun ride. I'm gonna learn everything I can, and that's really just the biggest thing. I'm willing to do everything it takes to get on the field. So
when you look at Alabama's defense this past season, it looks a lot different than it has been in seasons in the past. And a lot of people attribute that to Kevin Steele. You could attribute that to some of the new faces on the defense, like Deontay Lawson, like a Caleb Downs, and just guys bringing some new energy to the defensive side of the football. Just what are your thoughts on how that defense is playing now and how it looks with you heading to it?
I just see a very physical defense. A lot of people don't realize it, but the defensive line playing super good, and they open it up. Linebackers will come through and field. The linebackers doing a good job of communicating with the safeties and D-line. So, man, I just got to say, man, Coach Steele, he's doing his thing, and he's blitzing them. And they pretty much just doing everything at a high level right now. So as a recruit coming in, you just look at them and be like, man, why not Bama? So that's really just the biggest thing.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I see that too at all three levels. That defense is playing really good. Like you said, one of the biggest difference I saw after watching them in person was the way how effective lead guys on the defensive line were getting off blocks. Guys like Tim Kenny, you can see the difference, how they were just getting off blocks and making tackles, and it's spread all over the field. And Caleb Downs, I don't think you'll find a better tackling safety in the country, and he's just a freshman. So the future is very bright for you guys on the defensive side of the football. And with the guys that you're coming in with, guys like Jalen Mbakwe, Caden Jones, just different guys on the defensive side of football. Just what are your thoughts on the class and the guys that are coming along with you in this 2024 recruiting class?
Man, Mbakwe, he's impressive. He refuses to lose. Every time he's counted, finds a way to just win. So with me just coming in with guys like that, it's special. Caden Jones, he's a special guy, special talent. I know he's gonna push me in the linebacker room. Me and him talk every day. It's already a brotherhood. So I can't wait to get in with some of those guys. Ron Williams reclass. Iron Sharp, offensive side of the ball going against Jalen. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk noise in practice, talk noise to the older guys, and we're just going to try to get them better, to be honest. We're going to grow as a class and pretty much as a team. So we're just ready to get up there. If somebody's got to be on the scout team, we're going to give them a look, and we're just going to wait our turn to get on the field. That's really just the biggest thing.
And when you look at you, man, you're a hybrid, versatile linebacker, a guy who could play rushing off the edge, could play standing up. You proved that this past season for Spanish Fort. What do you think Alabama? Well, what has the coaching staff been telling you as far as their plan for you as you continue to just develop and become a better just overall linebacker?
They kind of gonna use me as a money linebacker, the money linebacker position. You pretty much just rush, drop back, and man, they do a good job of just pretty much utilizing you. And you just play the inside linebacker position at a high level. So that's what I'm pretty much ready to get up in there and do. And I just really want to learn how to just call that defense. That's gonna be the biggest thing.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to ask you, basically the last question, man. Of course, getting the opportunity to play under Saban is something a lot of people would want to do. It's something that people consider a dream come true. The last question to end it here. What does it mean to you to know that you're going to play under a guy who is considered by many to be the greatest college football coach of all time?
And it's just special. Not a lot of people get the chance. It's a blessing. I thank God for just putting me in a position. And, man, I'm just going to take advantage of it. I'm going to take every rep seriously. And when he get on to me, I know it's just going to be because he want me to be the best player that I can be. He's already proven it with everybody that he has in the league. And, man, I just can't wait to be there.
Well, folks, we're back into the action here from the break. National Signing Day show. Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Yours truly, Stephen Smith, with the Director of Scouting and Recruiting for TDA, Justin Smith, right here. Just a pretty interesting signing day for the Tide. Able to flip two guys in terms of Aaron Hampton, that 4-star athlete for Crimson Tide, flipping him from Texas to Alabama. And of course, the Crimson Tide flipping 4-star running back Kevin Riley from Miami to play for the University of Alabama. Riley, a Tuscaloosa County High School product. So 2 flips here, but a guy that we knew that was going to sign his letter of intent for the Crimson Tide, 4-star defensive back Jameer Grimsley, coming to Tuscaloosa to play for that Bama, Justin.
Yeah, he's a 6'3" defensive back out of Tampa, Florida. A guy who's going to be listed as an athlete on most recruiting sites because of his experience playing on both sides of the football. Has experience playing wide receiver, has experience playing defensive back, and he's a guy with some good speed, and he has that length that we are going to continue to see college football coaches go after at that cornerback position in particular.
When you look at Grimsley here, so going back to the speed thing, back to the speed aspect, do you see him as a sprinter? Is he more of a strider in terms of mirroring receiver, staying with guys, playing the ball as well as the receiver? Is he more of a sprinter? Is he more of like a long striding type?
I think he's more of a sprinting type because he has a track background. So he's a guy who has, like I said, once he gets to football, he's a guy who you can see that explosiveness after the catch. Of course, he's not going to be a wide receiver for Alabama football, but those ball skills that he shows at the wide receiver position is going to help him once he transitions over full time to defensive back. Because if you are a guy who can have ball skills at defensive back, you can easily turn those knockdowns into interceptions. And he has that length. He's a guy who's going to need to continue to add on some muscle to that frame. So Alabama is lucky to have him because you're going to want to continue to have long guys who can be athletic, great ball skills at the cornerback position, because that is just what everybody wants now because of those long arms and what they can do with them in coverage and how they can go up against taller and lengthier wide receivers out on the outside, and just with how athletic and how explosive and just how shifty wide receivers are right now as a defensive back, especially if you play cornerback, which is what many believe to be the hardest position in football outside of quarterback. If you're going to play that position, you're going to want to create any advantage that you can, and so Jameer Grimsley tries to create that natural advantage with that length and the height that he currently has.
Another big get there for Travaris Robinson as far as the defensive back room is concerned for Alabama, landing a 4-star in Jameer Grimsley. Sticking with defense, Crimson Tide getting a linebacker and got this guy from Germany, a guy that Kevin Steele excited to work with, and that is Justin Okonkwo is into the Crimson Tide, signing his national letter of intent. 3-star linebacker right here. I remember, Justin, when you first saw him breaking down his film and what he does, you fell in love with the tackling ability, the speed to dissect the football, getting off of blocks, making plays there. Okonkwo, I think he had a verified 40 or 4.41 or 4.37 or something crazy like that. Talk about what makes this young man special.
Yeah, Okonkwo, I think some of the things you talked about is what makes him special. You see him on this film right now, you see him laying the big hits, but of course he's a guy who's physically gifted, and he's I see him to be a lot bigger than some of the guys that he plays against in Germany. But when I watch this film, the thing that I really like to look at is the way that he plays in space. You see the speed that you were talking about, that 40 speed. You see that come out at times when you watch his film, but you also see the way that he's able to move as a linebacker, as a 6'3", 215-pounder. This guy moves pretty smoothly. A guy who worked with him very closely, the guy who helped him basically get on Alabama's radar, said that Nick Saban told him that if Justin played in America, he would be a 5-star, and that's something that guy said Saban said. So a lot of people are really high on Okonkwo. Of course, he's going to have a transition with the level of talent that he's going up against in Germany, and then you go to Alabama playing the SEC. When you're playing at Alabama and competing at Alabama, you know you're going to play against an uptick in competition. That is for every recruit, but in particular for Justin. So we'll see how he transitions from playing football in Germany to playing at Alabama. I think that's the biggest question mark. How would that transition happen? How smoothly will it be? Will there be any challenges? I think that's the question mark surrounding Justin at the moment.
And not just that, but also just, the culture shock. You're going from Germany to the U.S. You're going from Germany to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where football takes on it takes on a mantra of its own. people look at the SEC, it just means more in the Southeastern Conference. And in terms of the University of Alabama, this is the program inside of the SEC where football is a massive, massive deal when you weigh in the national championships, the recruiting classes, placing guys in the National Football League. So going to be fun to see how Okunrunquo will take on this development of coming to a place and being able to thrive in an environment that's really geared toward football.
Yes, for sure. And that'll do it for our live National Signing Day coverage for our 2024 recruiting class, live National Signing Day show. Had a great show, had an opportunity to catch up with some of the Crimson Tide signees at Casey Post, Sterling Dixon, Joseph Ayata, Jeremiah Beeman. Thank those guys so much for giving us an opportunity to join our show. Also had an opportunity to break down some film. When you take a look at Alabama's 2024 recruiting class as it stands before you leave, because the day is not over for the Crimson Tide as they will look to try to close out the day strong. As the early signing period continues throughout the week until Friday, but you see the Crimson Tide signed most of their class, which is what we see across college football. A lot of the college football teams now like to sign majority of their class. Of course, Alabama picking up some huge flips in Aaron Hampton and Kevin Riley, specifically on the offensive side of the football, and the Crimson Tide are looking like they're going to lock up an impressive offensive class in general in this 2024 recruiting cycle. I do want to talk about Ryan Williams before you leave, the 5-star wide receiver who set to sign in February. He told me he was locked in with the Crimson Tide the last time I talked with him at the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. He's going to be one of the Crimson Tide commits who's going to participate in the Under Armour All-America game later this month. So we had an opportunity to catch up with them there and a lot of other guys who are headed to Tuscaloosa in the future. We'll keep you updated on all of that over at touchdownalabama.com, of course.
So before we sign off here, Justin, when you look at Ryan Williams, he's expected to, of course, sign in the summer. Well, sign in February, even come in the summer, not an early enrollee. But you look at so many guys have come through here with the type of speed and playmaking ability that he has. When you discuss the Amari Coopers who have come through, the Calvin Ridleys, the Jerry Judys, the Henry Ruggs, the Jalen Waddles, the Jameson Williams, the most recent one. When you look at Ryan Williams, is there a blend of former Alabama wide receivers in his game that has you thinking he could really be a generational talent? And I know people throw that word around loosely, generational talent, but when you watch Ryan Williams, is that word true when you talk about him?
Yes, it is true. A lot of people who have been around football for a long time have told me they feel he is the best high school football player they have ever seen. And he, of course, I've seen a lot of different guys. He's easily the best wide receiver. I have coverage just based on what he brings to the table from a speed perspective. I'm talking about speed that is verified on the track time. A guy who can consistently run a sub 11 100 meter dash time. So that puts him in the conversation for those fast and those fast and explosive guys like Jalen Waddle, like Henry Ruggs. He's in the conversation with those guys in terms of his speed, in terms of his just ability to get free, create separation, be a playmaker, come up in the clutch. He reminds me a lot of Devontae Smith in terms of his frame, because he is a guy who's a little bit on the smaller side. He could have a frame that feels out a little bit bigger than Devontae Smith, because Smitty has just always been on the smaller side. But he's a guy, in my opinion, if I had to compare him to a former Alabama wide receiver, that is a guy I kind of would lean towards, because he just has the ability to do so many things at the wide receiver position. He can go up and climb the ladder and catch the football. He can create separation with his route running ability. He can create separation after the catch. He can be a dynamic kick returner. Whenever this guy touches a football, you just hold your breath, and everyone knows that. I remember, like at the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, that game was in Mississippi, but you can see the people from the Mississippi side holding their breath. You can hear them holding their breath, and that guy got the football. Everyone's eyes just glued on what this kid will do.
And just go back to the 6A state championship. I know Saraland did not win that game, but Ryan Williams in that matchup, where he had like 11 catches, 240 yards. He set a Class 6A championship game record, had an overall Super 7 record, had 4 touchdowns, 2 touchdown catches, a kickoff return for a touchdown, a rushing touchdown. Like whenever this guy touched the ball, it's must-see television.
Yes, for sure. And that's why Alumni wants to hold on to him. Of course, Auburn will be involved in his recruitment. He will take official visits, multiple official visits before February, which is what is expected. And that is what it is expected for a guy who reclassified. He's not supposed to be coming to Alabama or whatever school he eventually chooses next year. He's supposed to have another year of high school, at least another semester of high school before he decided to go to a school. But his recruitment has been pushed up and it's coming to an end in a couple of months now with them reclassifying from the 2025 recruiting class to the 2024 class. And I remember saying consistently that this guy, I don't know why he would stay his senior year. You really don't get an opportunity to say that about a high school kid. But Ryan is in that conversation like, why are you staying your senior year? There's nothing left for you to prove at the high school football level, because he won Mr. Football as a sophomore at Sutherland High School. He led them to a state championship as a sophomore, and they went back as a junior, and they were a couple of seconds away and a couple yards away of possibly pulling off the upset of not the upset, but defeating Clay Chalkville and Jalen Mbakwe. So Ryan has proven everything he needed to prove at the high school football level, in my opinion, and his recruiting ranking now that he has reclassified to the 2024 recruiting class basically shows that, because he's still a 5-star across the board, still one of the top wide receivers, although he's just basically moved up a year.
It'll be fun to see what he does here in terms of taking those visits and ultimately signing with the Crimson Tide in February. But just as you mentioned, that's going to do it here for our National Signing Day show. Touchdown, Alabama Magazine on a Wednesday. Your Crimson Tide. Coach Saban adding more players, getting this entire class together for the 2024 edition. Hopefully we'll see where it ends up. Does it become a number one class? I still think it's going to be top 3. It's going to be a top 3 to top 5 group, and that's going to do it right here. Touchdown Alabama Magazine, your National Signing Day show.
We go live, they gon' sign. National Signing Day, we live. We live.